Welcome to SicEm365 Radio.
You always remember the night you got your career high, and Davion Mitchell has his tonight. 31 points, 7 threes.
SicEm365 Radio is presented by IdealMRI.com. High-quality MRIs for $497 or less. IdealMRI.com. Your health is important, so is your budget.
Gives it up. Mitchell. Got it.
It feels great, man. Jared asked me the same question because he's always in the zone. But it just feels great. I mean, I feel like every shot you put up is going in. Like the goal is bigger. So it just feels great, man.
The 3 o'clock hour is sponsored by Waco Custom Marketplace. Meats, sweets, Texas treats, and a cut above the rest. 425 Lake Air Drive, Waco.
It's going to come to you through the game. I feel like, I hit 2-3, catch and shoot threes in a row. So it's like, you got to shoot the next one, you know what I'm saying? You don't know if you're going to hit the next one because, you just hit 2 in a row. So you kind of feeling it. And I feel like Coach Drew is just if you hit 2 in a row, we already talked about it, it's like a heat check. So might as well shoot the next one, you know what I'm saying?
Now here's David Smoak, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoak.
All right, here we go. Davion Mitchell was crazy hot last night in the Baylor domination of Kansas State. That's wasn't Kansas State the team, and I can't tell you the year, it could have been 5 years ago, 7 years ago, 2 years ago, where they came in and they had like 0.6 seconds left in the game, and Paul, they inbounded the ball after what I think might have been a turnover or something and hit a three at the buzzer, and it was popped the balloon of the crowd.
Angel Rodriguez, was that the guy's name?
May have been.
Yeah, and he was popped it right at the buzzer. It was one of those things that this is the only play they can run to get this, and they ran it.
Yep.
Maybe there was like 20 times vengeance over last night. That was an absolute pants down spanking that Kansas State took, and the color of their uniforms last night looked like a suit that Michael Irvin would wear. I thought it was very smooth, but they got walloped last night, and Baylor could not miss. They could not miss.
You hope, Craig, that they didn't. I don't want to use that term, but they didn't do everything last night, because they have one heck of an opponent coming up on Saturday, but that's kind of who they are. They play like that all the time, it seems like.
I mean, they're undefeated, and they're kind of putting a spanking on pretty much everybody. Now, granted, this past weekend game's a little tighter, but no, I mean, they're not a team that looks like they're going to have a offensive explosion and then just run out of bullets. That doesn't appear to be the case with this Baylor team. And look, even if they ran out here in the next couple of days or so for some reason, they still have quite a long journey to go to reload a few more times. But I don't worry about that with this team. I mean, I don't expect them to play offensively at that high a level all the time. But man, when they do, and you combine that with their defense,
it's fun to watch.
Not many arguments can be made about, where they stand in the land, and yeah, it's a lot of fun to watch.
Yeah, it really, really is. Baylor dominates Kansas State. Up next is Auburn, Saturday afternoon. By the way, former Baylor star Taya Cooper will be in studio with us tomorrow, sometime either between 4:30 and 6. She'll be in studio. So all you youngins, take a shower, brush your teeth, please, all right? Because Taya Cooper's she's going to make our studio look a lot better than it normally does.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
I mean, is this the first, lady that's been in here? I don't know. I can't.
I think so.
No, Grant Taft's wife was here.
That's right.
And there's been a couple of others. No, we had...
we had Grant Taft's wife and daughter were here when the place was not even finished.
They were here before I was ever here.
Brian Etheridge's wife was here. So
no, but as far as we haven't had a lot of in-person guests. We've had King one time, and we had Kings. We had King McClure and Jason King.
Patrick Lawrence, because we randomly bumped
into him because he lives next to us, basically. But beside that, we haven't had the opportunity for a lot of in-person guests, so she will be a nice way to kick that off.
Couple of notes. Mark Vital has now broken the school record for most Big 12 conference wins, 40. He had been tied with A.J. Walton, 40. And and he's still got a long way to go with the rest of the season. Scott Drew now has a winning record against everybody who's a head coach in the Big 12 except for Bill Self, and he's won 2 out of 3 against Bill Self.
And I wonder what that would have been like 2 or 3 years ago. I'm curious.
Well, it took him a while. I don't know what his record ever ended up being overall against Rick Barnes. That's something I'm sure Ashley, Colt, Brian, or someone might know, because obviously they beat up on Baylor for a long, long time, and now he's at Tennessee.
But when part of the reason he's at Tennessee is that tide's turned.
Yeah, no. And it means he has a winning record against Bob Huggins, Lon Kruger, Bruce Weber, Shaka Smart, and that's a short rivalry there. Chris Beard, right?
Yeah.
And that's very impressive. Those are some of those guys are in or will be a part of the College Basketball Hall of Fame. So I saw this from Kelly Robinet. She covers Kansas State. Kansas State's strength coach Ben O'Donnell tore his Achilles yesterday, had surgery. The team bus broke down before the game, and some of the coaches had to walk to the Farrell Center. Not sure exactly how they ever got to the airport last night. I'm sure there was a couple of buses that now, because you do it spacing. So that's part of just a rough night for Kansas State and Bruce Weber, and that's just a total domination. Looking forward to Saturday's game, 3 o'clock against Auburn. How about this? Brent Dearman, who Les Miles hired as his offensive coordinator at Kansas, is leaving Kansas for Middle Tennessee to become the same position.
Well, you got to take a step up when you can have the opportunity to do it. But that's pretty bizarre.
Florida Atlantic is hiring Mike Stoops, so he actually ended up getting hired, but it was not what at least initially some thoughts might have been Austin. That never happened.
Yeah,
never
Florida Atlantic's not Texas. I'm curious to see, Sarkisian over time. I don't think he's already, been shoved to the side, and the money makers or the money people are going to be making the decisions all the time. But that's one they've already made, that they've already said, no, you're not going to hire that guy. We're going to tell you to go go in a different direction. And I'm sure that happens. If Dave Aranda and Mack Rhodes have conversations, and there might be names that he floats, and Mack Rhodes has to say, no, I don't think so. But this one was just so, to me, silly, because Mike Stoops wasn't coming to be your defensive coordinator. He can coach linebackers. Like, the guy's been around for a long time for a reason. He was on the Alabama staff as a quote-unquote analyst last year for a reason. Now NFL guys are taking those jobs. I think that was petty, very petty.
So Jeff Lebby's name popped up because UCF needs a head coach. He was there before he went to Ole Miss. Is that right?
Yeah.
A lot of the coaches spread out from that Art Briles group. Randy Clements and Lebby are now at Ole Miss. Lebby's name is one of many names. Randy Shannon, Tony Elliott, again, his name pops up. A couple of others as well. Georgia's defensive coordinator, Dan Lanning, Alex Grinch of Oklahoma. So there'll be some of those names. But Jeff Lebby's name popped up because he was there under Lane Kiffin at UCF.
He was under Josh Heupel.
Josh Heupel.
Josh Heupel at UCF, and then he went with Lane Kiffin. I would be reticent to put Jeff Lebby as my head coach. It would not be my first move if I was the new athletic director at UCF, which is the first move they have to make is a head football coach. And I know that probably ideally that's not what you want when the AD leaves and then takes the football coach with him, but that's what they've got. I don't know if I would.
Tell me why.
I'll be brutally honest, because I don't like the way that he exited Baylor. I didn't like that his wife was running her mouth, talking all sorts of trash to Baylor fans for like the last 2 months of the season. I don't like that I've got a tweet saved that's since been deleted that I could pull up right now from Mrs. Lebby, who is Art's daughter as well, telling me when Texas Tech was beating the mess out of them in that last regular season game, like basically, the coach has already quit anyways. I have that tweet on my computer, and it was deleted, but I saved it because I was like, oh, yeah, that's definitely getting deleted. So that's why I had a bad taste in my mouth. I understand those coaches being upset, but I had no problem talking to Phil Bennett every week. Like, that's all water under the bridge. It was nothing personal with me anyways, but just as a casual observer, I thought it was a really tacky way to exit. And I understand there was a lot of emotions at the time. So not that, like, I'm defending Baylor all the way in this by any means, but that left a bad taste in my mouth, and that would, for me at least, cause me to be very like, I don't know about all that. But since then, he's gone on. He's ran a really good offense. He's had success. He's obviously worked his way up to Ole Miss. Is he ready to be a head coach? I don't know. I ain't seen the guy or heard his single word from his mouth in like 5 years.
Okay, but the one thing, and all of what you said is true. We saw her go off on rants and all that, but that's family that was involved across the board.
I said I understand it.
No, and I'm reiterating that. I can understand the emotions that he may have had, Kendall had, and others that are part of the family had. So, but is that enough to keep him from being the head coach?
Here's what, and I'll just go before that. Look, before that, he got Baylor in trouble because he very blatantly wore a yellow Baylor shirt on the sideline of an Oklahoma game or Tulsa game when they were playing Oklahoma, and kind of didn't think about what he was doing. And I want a head coach who knows all that.
You know who popped him and popped him hard that day when that popped?
Yeah.
His stepfather.
Yeah.
I remember that. I asked him about it. He was pissed.
Yeah, his father-in-law.
Yeah.
But even still, like, those are the things that, like, that kind of judgment I don't like. And I don't know. I don't know if the last two coaches, look, Josh Heupel's a play caller and Lane Kiffin's a play caller. Is Jeff Lebby calling those offenses?
No, we think that Kiffin might be doing most of it because he's always done that, but we don't know the intricacies.
And look, you don't always have to be a play caller to be a head coach. Ask the Houston Texans.
Yeah, just because you're a really good play caller doesn't mean you should be a head coach. Yeah. So, like, I mean, again, my bias, if you even want to call it that, why I would not go like, hey, I want to hire that guy, I think he'd be a great fit, is because of what I do know. Now, there's a lot I don't know. Definitely don't want to prohibit the guy from ever having a head coaching job. Definitely think he's headed that way. So if UCF sees fit, so be it. But if it was me, I would just be a little hesitant just because of things that happened in the past. And not holding any grudges or anything, but that's the lasting impression I got from him when you asked me, what do you think of that name?
It was such a unique situation.
It was so bizarre.
It's a staff that had so many the ties from one parts of the families to the other. It was interesting. And that now seems like, for me, it does seem a long, long time ago. I know for a lot of people it doesn't. But he, also part of it might be growing up, learning from that. Not only him, but also perhaps his wife and others involved.
Well, so, like I said, I haven't heard a single word from the dude's mouth in like 5 years. I don't know a single thing about him since that time period. So when you ask me a question about somebody who I haven't kept up with, I'm sure they've changed. I'm sure that they're a lot different and would not surprise me in the least. So if he's suited for it, if they think he's the best choice, then hey, good for you. Go get the job.
We're going to hear a little bit from last night's post-game Kansas State Baylor as Baylor goes to 15-0, number 2 in the country, Auburn Saturday. We'll also hear from Brian Jones, CBS college football analyst, studio analyst. He played linebacker at Texas. He is the MC for tonight's Earl Campbell Tyler Rose Award banquet. That is at 7 o'clock, and it's also online. Epe Udo, he tweeted out that Barack Obama, President Obama, had tweeted at him, not only just a tweet, but a video message about his book club and a book that he's writing, or he had written. And we're going to have Epe Udo. I woke up earlier today to record an interview. He's in China. He texted me when he landed in China and worked it out where I could talk to him for 7 to 8 minutes. We'll have that today at 3:45. Max Olson, Mickey Spagnola, Shireen Williams on David Culley, who's now the head coach of the Houston Texans.
Just like I predicted. Yeah. I've been on that David Culley train for a while.
I got to tell you, again, I'm not an NFL insider, but a lot of people, now there's some that wanted to know why it wasn't Bieniemy or why is it what. The reaction that I saw from a lot of people that have covered the NFL for years and years and years was they were thrilled for the guy. He's 65 years old. He's probably the oldest head coach ever hired for the first time. But Shireen Williams knows David Culley, had covered him and knows him pretty well. She's going to join us today at 5.
Well, David Culley is the subject of today's top 5, and there's a lot of things that he's got to deal with. The Texans are an organization
There's one thing in particular.
One big thing he's got to deal with. And look, now, the stories coincide is that David Culley's going to be the head coach and Deshaun Watson has asked for a trade, and that there was not any coach that Deshaun Watson was going to be happy with, that he's so mad at Cal McNair and Jack Easterby, so that he wants to leave. I still think that can get worked out. Sometimes these things have different answers than we think, but and the Texans absolutely should do everything they can not to trade Deshaun Watson.
He's asked for a trade, right?
Yeah.
He's asked for a trade. This is after. He had not said a word. He'd kind of made things known, insinuated a few things, subtly or not so subtly. As Craig, you read some of his tweets on his timeline even a week ago. So this now comes after they hired David Culley.
Yeah, he was doing the whole subliminal thing, that you couldn't tell if it was like a rap lyric or if it actually had meaning behind it. And the thing is like sometimes it's just a rap lyric and sometimes it does have meaning behind it. Turns out there was meaning behind it. Why he chose that way to kind of dance around for like a week and a half or whatever instead of just saying this from the very beginning, I don't know. But he's saying it now in so many ways. So, yeah, Houston's got quite the problem, no pun intended. And how it got to this point so quickly will be probably the subject of books and, depending on his success elsewhere, if that's where he ends up going is somewhere else, which it was what it looks like, then I'm sure it could very well turn into a 30 for 30. Or
he just signed a 4-year, $156 million extension.
Since when did signing contracts in pro sports matter anymore? That went out the window with the NBA a long time ago, and if it's starting to infiltrate the NFL, that's going to be very problematic. I do want to say one thing on the Earl Campbell, where it's a virtual ceremony. So you go to the website or go to the Twitter account, and tonight you can click on that link, and there will be a virtual ceremony. All the finalists will be a part of that. Earl will be a part of that. And it's good to go. It'll be tonight at 7. So check out EarlCampbellAward.com or at Campbell Award on Twitter, and you can find a link there. And it'll be a virtual ceremony.
Jalen Darden of North Texas, De'Ara King, Miami, Sincere McCormick, UT San Antonio, Kelvin Mond of A&M, and Kyle Trask of Florida, the finalist to be named the next Earl Campbell Tyler Rose Award winner.
I'm sure he's done a few because he's a businessman, but something tickles me about Earl on a Zoom.
Yeah.
Just because he is country.
Yeah.
I mean, he, boots and all that stuff. I just imagine Earl pointing his computer and getting on Zoom just kind of cracks me up.
No, he had a little help. They did not just fire up the Zoom at Earl's house and get him on the line.
Armstrong, can you send it? When we get Earl on, we got to do it by Zoom. We're going to get him soon.
Have a big old.
It's been a while since back in September, August, or whatever.
Big old Copenhagen dip.
Yeah.
I mean, that guy.
I do know this, is that he knows something about technology when it comes to his man cave, which is his living room, which is a beautiful home. Inside, he's got, it's almost a sports bar wall. Mm-hmm. And every little, see the helmets? He has jerseys of when he played various places and Hall of Famers who played with him, or they have traded helmets and jerseys. And he's got, I think it's 6 big screens. Like that right there, he's got 9 of those. And it's all on one wall in his man cave at the Campbell house.
I know that if you're looking to spot a yellow car, then you'll see a yellow car far more often than when you're not trying to spot it or whatever. But knowing Earl a little bit and just, being a big fan of his and working with the award, I feel like I hear his name all the time. And maybe it's because I listen for it more, but last weekend they randomly mentioned Earl Campbell during one of the broadcasts because who was it that was running so hard? Man, I can't remember, but they were like, man, he's running like Earl Campbell out there. And it seems like I hear that every couple of weeks on a broadcast. And it's just, I don't know, maybe it's because I sort of kind of know him a little bit. And you know him really well, that it's still just, it's really cool to me. But speaking of jerseys, saw where James Lynch's high school, Round Rock, tweeted out that he stopped by their offices today and presented them with the signed Vikings jersey. That's awesome. So that's very cool.
I think it might have been Leonard Fournette on a run. It was one of those, because you have Fournette, you had Jones.
It was
and Jones went out, and then of course Williams, and it wasn't Hilaire.
The backup for Green Bay and maybe even the starter next year, A.J. Dillon, is very much in that.
That's who it was. It was A.J. Dillon.
It was A.J. Dillon. It was powerful.
His legs are that big around.
Was he 30?
Yeah.
It was a powerful run. It almost looked like if he would have had a tearaway jersey, it would have done that. We got to get to a couple of things. Brian Jones will join us today at 3:30. His thoughts about Steve Sarkisian as well at his alma mater at the University of Texas. But that Deshaun Watson story, David Culley, I actually even saw this, and this kind of bothered me. David Culley's a minority, right? Mm-hmm. Now, I even saw some, and again, these were analysts, these who are writing for pro football and have covered pro football and columnists for their newspapers and whatever. Now there's an argument about which minority was hired. There was this push, there needs to be more minorities hired, right?
Yeah.
And now they're fighting among which one it was instead of it being enemy. It's David Culley.
The 4 finalists for the Texans, as far as we can tell, were Bieniemy, Frazier, Jim Caldwell, and David Culley. So they were going to hire a black head coach. There was their 4 finalists, and they hired a black head coach. So again, you would love all 4 of those guys to get head coaching jobs, but that was the one that was still open.
All right, when we come back, we'll hear from Baylor on their win last night against Kansas State. Davion Mitchell tuning up for that showdown with his former team, Auburn, in which what ought to be Sharif Cooper. Again, Taya's brother will be. He missed 11 games for Auburn, and since he's gotten back, they've gotten red hot. He's really good. That ought to be fun. SicEm365 Radio. Pioneer Still and Pipe. Locations in Waco and Bryan. And if you cannot get by there and talk business or get through and say hi or want to go look at what they have with their product, of course, it's online, pioneerboys.com, and their locations are open on Saturday morning, 8 until noon as well. They are starting the process to build a brand new facility on 340 and 12th Street. They have been in business, Pioneer Steel and Pipe, since 1943, nearly 80 years. Nearly 80 years. They have been through all of whatever's happened to the economy, all of whatever's happened with this country. They have been through it all. and they are as strong now as ever before, and they're doing that new facility on 340 and 12th Street. It's going to take a long, long time to build it. And of course, if you talk about building something, metal buildings, or you need pipe or steel, metal, that's what they do. That's what they do, and they do it well, and that's how you stay in business through everything, through the ups and downs, the stock market, whatever, for nearly 80 years. Customer service is not just a name. It's not just not a phrase. It's not just a slogan. It's what they do. You have to have great product, and you have to treat your customers where they don't buy just the first time, but many times. Commercial or real estate, they'll take what you need to where it needs to be unloaded and do that for you as well. Pioneer Boys, pioneerboys.com.
2020 made you tough. Now get a tough SUV to match. There's a reason Allen Samuels has been a Customer First Excellence Award winner for 3 consecutive years. Stop by and check out the friendly, courteous sales staff, world-class facility, and top-ranked Jeep inventory. Get $6,750 in values on a new Jeep Renegade or $4,000 in total values on the new Tough as Nails Jeep Gladiator Sport and Oberlin. Experience firsthand the Start Something New sales event at Allen Samuels and check them out at allensamuelsdcj.com. See dealer for details. All offers have credit requirements.
How did Edward Jones become one of the biggest financial service companies in the world? By not acting that way. Financial strategies, one-on-one advice, it's a big difference. And that's why Brad Wilson, your Edward Jones financial advisor, makes sense of investing. Experience the difference for yourself. Brad Wilson, 250 Sharon Drive in Woodway, 254-776-4337. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
Did you know that 1 out of every 4 men have symptomatic low levels of testosterone and don't even know it? And if you think you're too young to worry about it, guess again. Low T levels can make you feel tired and grumpy, cause weight gain, and wreak havoc on your sexual desire and performance. Petty Clinic Low T can set up same-day blood screening and results, so if you're tired of being tired, I challenge you to man up and Google search Low T Waco or go online, pettycliniclowt.com. It's a private clinic with an atmosphere catering to men. Affordable, only $150 a month, includes lab work, office consultation, testosterone injections, follow-up visits compared to $395 a month in Dallas or Austin, and you don't have to fight the traffic. Petty Clinic Low T as board-certified physician consultations will provide the best form of brand-strength testosterone available. Contact Petty Clinic Low T today, just off Highway 84 and Old Hewitt Drive in Woodway. Petty Clinic Low T, helping men become the high-performance men they deserve to be. PettyClinicLowT.com or Google search Low T Waco.
Listen, in the past couple of years, we've had a lot of people moving in from out of state to Waco thanks to Chipper and JoJo. And while we welcome these new citizens, they unfortunately brought some of their bad habits with them. Hi, Jay here from Pickup Outfitters, and you know what I'm talking about. Naked trucks. You'd think everyone moved here from McNewtville. But we shouldn't judge them, we should help them. For example, when you see a recent transplant truck from a less civilized state like California, instead of saying, "Your truck is disgusting, your bed is exposed, get a bed cover on that truck, buddy," that's a bit harsh. Instead, try something like, "You know, in Texas, it's not polite to drive around with your bed exposed. Maybe you should check out the excellent selection of bed covers at Pickup Outfitters." And then if they refuse, you can say, "Well, I hear New Mexico's a nice state." Let's help our new neighbors and let them know that truck nudity is not okay. Let them know about Pickup Outfitters of Waco and send them to our website, createacommotion.com.
At Baylor University, students can shine in their own way. Or should we say their own ways? Because there's no limit to the ways Baylor students make the world a brighter place. Whether they're leading a student organization or following a higher calling, getting advice from faculty, or taking part in world-class research, pursuing their dreams, or working toward their dream job, students find their place to shine at Baylor, where lights shine bright.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio. Call us on the Impact Health Labs caller line at 254-339-1122. For your company's mass COVID testing, log on to impacthealthlabs.com.
All right, here we go on this Thursday afternoon. Brian Joins, CBS Sports, will join us in Epe Udo in about 25 minutes on his book club. Barack Obama, President Obama, sending him a message in his new team in China that he landed late last night. 21-day quarantine, all that in this first hour. Shawn Bell, Baylor quarterbacks coach today at 5:30. Now, last night, dominant win. Just an absolute, dominant win. Baylor's now scored over 100 points against Kansas State both times they've played. I thought I saw a note from Jason King that Bruce Weber has allowed 100 points in a game in his what is going to be at some point a Hall of Fame career. He's taken, 2 teams to a Final Four, taken a couple of other teams to Elite Eights. He has only allowed 100 points in a game as a head coach in basketball twice. This year, both times against Baylor. That's the kind of year Baylor's had, and of course, in Kansas State is struggling, no doubt about it. But it was the Davion Mitchell show. How about his improvement shooting threes compared to what he began? Well, I think his first 20 threes he took when he was at Baylor, he's like hit 3 of 20, 3 of 18, whatever it is. And Scott Drew on Davion Mitchell in the night that he had.
Scott, you've seen it, I'm sure, in practice and stuff, but Davion, that streak that he got on there late in the second half, how fun was that to watch, I guess?
Well, that reminded me of Mackay against TCU. Macio's had streaks like that. Jared Butler's had streaks like that. And that's the great thing about this team is each and every night somebody can get hot, and the team really allows when a guy gets hot to find him and keep him hot rather than try to get their own. And Davion's worked so hard since he got here to work on his shooting and being a more consistent shooter. And I think he showed that.
Was there a moment kind of this summer where Davion's new form showed you all that he was taking a new leap as a three-point shooter?
I think more than his form was his mental confidence. And what I mean by that is last year he'd put in work, but if he missed 1 or 2, it would affect him. And now he's gotten to the point mentally he has enough confidence in himself. If he misses a couple shots, he has that shooter's confidence now to where the next one's going in. And the mental is just as important as the structure and the physical. So he put the work in, and I think the last step always is the mental part.
And then his teammates, they know, they've seen what he does. And Maceo Teague, you hear all these stories about how many of these guys, whether it's Chamwa Chachua or Butler or Maceo, what they do away from the scene and what they do when no one's watching or looking on their own. And here's Maceo Teague on Davion Mitchell.
His growth was really all mental in my point of view. I saw him in his redshirt year. Every time I watch him work out, he always makes a lot of shots. He goes 80 for 100 every time in the workouts. I would just say that he's grown as a player in his mind. His mind is really strong. He believes in himself, and the guys on the team really believe in him, and I think that helps him out a lot too.
That echoed it. I mean, so I thought that was really interesting with no prompting, and I don't know if Maceo was sitting there when Scott said that, or if he heard it, but I mean, that was what Maceo believed. So it's not something that just the coaches are noticing.
It's just guys that all seem to understand that they may give up 5 or 8 point scoring a game. Jared Butler might not have to score but 10 or 11 in one game and then have to pop in 25 or 30 for a couple of games. It's just amazing how many it comes at you in different ways and different angles.
It's not complicated, guys. I mean, it's very simple. It's just a team that's, got great chemistry and is unselfish. That's what it is. It's chemistry and unselfishness, and it's not easy to come by. But piece by piece, over the last 3 years, Scott Drew has hand-selected, these transfers and brought together a combination with the high school players they've recruited, like, a Matthew Meyer or whoever you want to throw out there, in addition to these transfers. And they've been very calculated with, the roster and who they brought in and the mixture, and they've done a brilliant job of it. And that's why you have a team where there doesn't seem to be any, no, I'm the guy, or no, I'm the man. It's like, hey, tonight you're the man, tomorrow you'll be the man. Jared Butler's the man more often than anybody, but hey, we don't care because we're beating the mess out of everybody and we're undefeated, and that's all that matters to them. I don't think they care if any of them, have any Big 12 Player of the Week title or any of that, so long as they're raising a trophy at the end of the year as teammates. That's what matters, and that's something that they have that not everybody else in the country has.
Well, last night, Davion Mitchell had everything. He's a great defensive player. We know that's what he's known for. He's about to face Cooper. That ought to be great, but in his former team. But he was, without a question, he was in a zone last night.
First off, Davion, what does it feel like to be in a zone like that for people like us who will never experience any kind of athletic heat like that?
It feels great, man. Jared asked me the same question because he's always in the zone. But it just feels great. I mean, like I feel like every shot you put up is going in. Like the goal is bigger, so it just feels great, man.
You mentioned a heat check. Are there standards on a heat check? I mean, that people hold you to? I mean, like where you determined? Like how do you know you need to get one?
It's gonna come to you through the game. I mean, I feel like I hit 2-3 catch and shoot threes in a row. So it's like you got to shoot the next one. You know what I'm saying? Like you don't know if you're gonna hit the next one because like you just hit 2 in a row, so you kind of feeling it. And I feel like Coach Drew is just like if you hit 2 in a row, it's like we already talked about. It's like a heat check. So might as well shoot the next one. You know what I'm saying?
Well, yeah, everyone does know what you're saying because he was red hot, 31 points, a career high. And then these conference out of games, like Baylor women were going to play UConn, and that's kind of been for good women's basketball. Those games are so necessary. Notre Dame, Stanford, Baylor, whoever in those games in January. And so they have the conference, these matchups. The Big Ten, I think, is the ACC, and then the Big 12 is the SEC. During a normal year, Jerome Tang told me this yesterday, during a normal year, it's kind of a breath of fresh air. This year, he said, and again, it was only his opinion, not speaking for Baylor basketball, hey, we'd like to.
Each year, you can't guarantee it's going to be successful and help, but in the past, I know it's helped a lot of Big 12 teams. So hopefully the same will happen this year.
And that's Scott Drew. Everyone kind of has a different opinion. I look forward to it. I'm looking forward to being at that game Saturday, 3 o'clock Baylor and Auburn. And with Auburn, what they bring to the table, their record very deceiving at 10-7. But since Sharif Cooper's gotten eligible, they have been a problem, and they just beat what was 10-2 Missouri.
Well, I would expect that to be a really high, widely watched game. I expect the ratings to win tough games. They know that to get to their ultimate goal, so I'm sure they'll be fully ready for it, and it should be a fantastic atmosphere, as much as it can be. But for those who are anti, playing these games, I understand, like in the COVID era of maybe feeling that way, but I think it's great to have kind of an outside point of view of life outside the Big 12, but on equal footing to kind of get a better gauge of where you are nationally and not just this bubble of the same teams that are all
Tennessee, Iowa State, Mississippi State, and also one other game that I did not mention was Arkansas and Oklahoma State. Brian Jones, he's the MC for the Earl Campbell Tyler Rose Award, the banquet, the virtual banquet that's tonight at 7 o'clock. Former Texas linebacker, played in the NFL, and now a part of CBS Sports as well. College football analyst joins us on SicEm365 Radio. Brian, what is it like you went to Texas, so you know the legacy, of course, of the Tyler Rose and Earl Campbell. Your thoughts about being a part of an event that is Earl's award and his event?
Kentucky will happen this weekend. They can get that bad taste out of their mouths after losing to Oklahoma the other night. You know what? Just growing up watching number 20 and those big old thighs, dude, I mean, you just were in awe. How could you not be enamored watching the great Earl Campbell? He was such a fluid athlete. And the way I judge guys, especially now that I'm past that 50 mark, and you always wonder if you could have played in any era. And Earl's one of those cats that could. I mean, it didn't matter when you handed the ball to him, whether it was back when, the Red Grange was playing or Jim Thorpe or today. That guy would still fit in. He just had that type of talent. He had all the characteristics you want in a back, the speed, the quickness, the power, and a stiff arm. It was great watching him, and one of the main reasons growing up that I became such enamored, I should say, with the Texas Longhorns.
Brian, with this award and this year, and you look at the awarding players, how did you see the season going along with certain guys like being able to just fight through it and still be elite?
Well, that was something that stood out to me, especially the Blue Bloods. Of course, Alabama winning the whole thing again, going undefeated in a 10-game SEC conference season. A&M is they're going to be a team to reckon with. Jimbo Fisher's put his fingerprints and his philosophy and style all over that team. They're big, they're physical, and they're going to lose a lot of pieces on that offensive line, and we'll see how they retool up front. But, man, they've got some talent from the running backs to the receivers who had to step up with the guys they lost before the season commenced and also during the season, losing that Chapman kid in the big upset over Florida. And defensively, they got some studs. That Leal at number 8 at defensive end, that's the way he wanted him to be built. So let him get off the bus first. So they have built that team the right way. And just seeing teams and these coaches put ownership on your players, and that's the only way you win, whether you're in a pandemic climate or not. The upperclassmen have to take ownership and hold everyone accountable, and we saw Alabama do that. They do it each and every year. Clemson, of course, did it, and A&M did it. So it's a testament to these players who are focused, laser focused on wanting to play football, and knowing that while they're used to being or adhering to a regiment, even more so this season.
Brian, were you surprised at all by Tom Herman's firing? And, I guess as a follow-up to that, what are your thoughts so far on Steve Sarkisian?
Last question first. Love the hire. This is exactly what Brian Jones wanted when we knew the die was cast, and this would be Tom Herman's last year at Texas. I didn't need a splashy hire. Of course, no one asked me my opinion on it, but I love this choice in Steve Sarkisian, his life story, that journey he's had to navigate and overcome, and the fact that he's always been, along with Lane Kiffin, one of those young, bright minds on the offensive side of the ball. He and Kiffin, they're the ones that helped Nick Saban evolve. Remember, Nick Saban was still playing that old man football. He just wanted to run it down your throat. They still do that, but they'll spread you out and beat you to death with all that speed on the perimeter as well. So I like the hire. I think he's going to be able to leverage what he's gone through personally with these young men. We know his offensive prowess. And the pieces are here in Austin. The pieces are here. They just need to be refined. These kids just need a little kick in the behind, man. I think the pieces are here, and he's going to come in and with the staff he's amassed, and they're going to do great things. And, it was just it was time to go. 4 years at the helm here at Texas, and you won with your predecessors. Guys did Tom Herman when he won that Sugar Bowl because Charlie Strong didn't lead the covered bear. And you were able to win. But 4 years into this and another overhaul of the staff, and while 7-3 is not bad, it's not great. and there were some games they allowed to get away, and that shouldn't occur. So I just think there are bigger things on the horizon for Texas.
Do you feel like, Brian, that, and then this is something that has been said before, and some people have even admitted it, that Texas in a way has gotten entitled in the football program, or even soft?
Oh, definitely. Oh, yeah, man, I go back and watch all those games each and every week, and in some weeks it's difficult. And I'm watching the coach's copy, and I'm looking at the fundamentals or the lack thereof. I'm looking how soft they play in the trenches, and that's where their biggest issues have lived, in the trenches. This game is not going to change. I was just mentioning all of that speed on the perimeter, but Alabama, the teams that are annually in the thick of the playoff chase and the national title chase, they ball out in the trenches, and you can have all the bells and whistles on the planet. If you can't block and tackle, if you can't do the fundamentals correctly, you're not going to win a damn thing. So this game will never change from that standpoint. And yes, they've got soft, they got entitled, and it's all about me. It can't be all about you. It's got to be all about all of us. That has to be the mindset, and you got to put the work in, and it's not easy. It's going to be tough, but once you get it going, once you get this train moving in the right direction, it's going to be hard to stop.
Brian Jones with us, CBS Sports on SicEm365 Radio.
Brian, when it comes to the Earl Campbell Award and the finalists tonight, you've got guys like Jalen Darden, Kyle Trask, Kellen Mond, Sincere McCormick, etc. Your thoughts on just what you saw from some of those guys this year, and obviously the award representing the best player from the state of Texas. It's a pride thing. Just kind of your thoughts on the candidates and who might take home the trophy tonight.
They were all phenomenal, man, and I have just thoroughly enjoyed watching Kyle Trask become such an exceptional college football player. Of course, you guys probably know his background. Sat behind Eric King there in Manville High School outside of Houston, and then he goes to Florida. Actually, I think it was Randy Shannon, the former defensive assistant there at Florida, was recruiting some other guy, and he stumbled upon Kyle Trask. and got my guy Doug Nussmeier. Doug and I played together in the NFL with the New Orleans Saints, and Doug was at Florida at the time. Now he's with the Dallas Cowboys. And, he got on his trail, and, of course, they got him to Florida. He's sitting behind Felipe Franks, and, man, when they got thrust into action after Franks went down in the Kentucky ball game a couple years ago, he just showed up and showed out and continued just a meteoric rise. So he had a fabulous season. Not so much in that bowl game versus Oklahoma, but, that was a shell of the offense that they had utilized throughout the season. Sincere McCormick, man, I remember him jumping on the scene, and we were all taken aback on the set just watching early on UTSA and how well this young man ran the rock and how aggressive he was running the football. So he stepped up and really put his name on Front Street. Kellen Mond, we've seen him grow. I thought he regressed a couple years ago, and he came back this year, and with that running game and that offensive line, really played well. The best game I think was that Florida game. He'll probably say I think it was Auburn where he threw for over 300 yards. And of course, he's going to leave as the all-time leading passer there at Texas A&M. So that says a lot about that young man and his talent and the things he overcame. You remember when he was thrust into action as a true freshman on the road to UCLA, in that game they lost when they were up by about 100, and still lost the ball game. And Jalen was eye-popping numbers. This guy was incredible. I think he had 19 receiving touchdowns on the year. He had one game with 13 catches and 200 yards. So all of them did their work. That's why they're up for this great award named after the Tyler Rose Earl Campbell, because they really put on a show. And it's a wonderful award to reward guys that are from the state of Texas and are doing things at myriad schools. So thanks to Earl and his team, Cindy and Danny there, and everyone that's a part of the Tyler Rose Award. They've done a fabulous job.
I want to go back to Kyle Trask real quick. You mentioned in the bowl game against Oklahoma, the offense is all, Kyle Pitt's gone, Kadarius Toney gone, everybody's gone. What would you do to entice players to play in the postseason games that aren't CFP games?
Nothing. This is when they finally have some leverage, and these guys, there's nothing. I don't know if there's any incentive other than you got a chance to play for a title, or I think if you look at the opponent you're going up against. Kyle Pitt's case. Here's a guy that already missed a few games because of injuries. So I can understand him wanting to move on and get ready for the draft. I don't think there's anything you can say to him. It's a unique individual decision, and everyone has to approach it in their own manner. So I don't know if there's anything that can entice them other than the opportunity to play for a national title.
You went from playing the game to getting into acting, in fact, but eventually into the media, radio talk shows out of KVET, and now where you are on studio. How much fun are you having, Brian? Because it always seemed like that you're never lack of an opinion, and also, number two, you seem to have fun doing it.
I'm going to have a damn good time doing whatever it is I'm doing. That's the way I want to live life, man. So I try to have a blast. They allow us that freedom at CBS. We give you your pertinent information, but we're going to have fun engaging you. So that's just part of my personality. Always has been, always will be, and it's been a pretty cool ride. It's been interesting. I'll just share this with you. I started when NFL spit me out. I came back here to Austin to finish my degree. And I carried the parabolic mic. You guys know what that is. That's a little satellite dish where that sound you get through your radio or your TV, folks. That was me carrying that bad boy. I had to travel with it and everything. You talking about putting your pride in your pocket. Well, that's what I had to do, and wouldn't have changed it for the world. So it's been fun. I've got a great group of guys and young ladies we work with there at CBS. So we got a wonderful team, and it just keeps getting better.
Brian, thank you very much. We appreciate your time. Heard you were amazing throughout the process of getting it set up for tonight, along with the finalists as well. We appreciate your time. And oh, by the way, we are a Baylor. We're named Sic'em365, but we have, in fact, Brian Jones from Texas, by God, to have you on the show, because we're not just Baylor all the time.
Don't do you? I'm just giving you a hard time, man. I dig Baylor. I got lots of good friends that went there, and they recruited me extremely hard way back in the day. So I've always been a fan of the Bears.
Well, you're doing a great job, man. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you, guys.
Brian Jones. That again, the virtual banquet tonight, 7:00. Jalen Darden, Kyle Trask, Kellen Mond, Sincere McCormick, and De'Ara King. And that still brings up the greatness of King and Trask at the same high school. It's crazy. That's just crazy.
Yeah.
When we come back, Epe Udo, he will join us. He's in China, just landed last night. He has the book club. President Obama reached out to him about it. That's next on SicEm365 Radio. Do you have trouble at night falling asleep? You can't shut your mind down. And it might be because you just have so many things that you're juggling in your head. It might be stress. It might be just there's a lot that you have on your plate. But it also might be that you struggle falling asleep. And CBD from Don Shumidor, it's called Vita Dreams. It's a bottle about this big. It's got gummies inside. And you take a little nibble of one or two, whatever you want. It depends on what works for you and will knock you not out because it's a drug. It will calm you down and allow you to fall asleep and get those extra 30, 45 minutes or an hour and a half sleep. How many times have you lost sleep when you just, and then I got to get to sleep, and then it gets worse. Vita Dreams can help you out. Also, they have a 48-foot walk-in humidor with some of the greatest cigars ever. Some of the great cigar names in the history of whatever cigar business you've heard about. Macanudo and Ashton, H. Upman, Arturo Fuente, Rocky Patel, Cohiba, my father. That is loaded up. Carol and Ashley understand the cigar business, and if you smoke cigars, there's also torch lighters, the cutters, the humidors, and the pouches to keep them moist and fresh. Don Shumidor, tell him Smokey sent you in the Town West Shopping Center off Valley Mills in Waco.
At Ideal MRI, we feel blessed to be a part of the Waco community. We're a small family business right here in Central Texas, and our goal is to bring down the cost of healthcare while maintaining high quality. At times like this, the cost of healthcare has never been more important, and unfortunately, significant illnesses and injuries still occur. That's why Ideal MRI is open and here to serve you through the difficult time. We offer premium MRIs just like a hospital with state-of-the-art technology and specialists, but you'll pay less. Sometimes thousands of dollars less, whether you're using insurance or not. At Ideal MRI, we accept most insurance and there are no hidden costs, even offering financing if that's needed. Everything included in the price, and you'll not get something as a surprise in the mail later on. If you need an MRI, ask your doctor about Ideal MRI. They'll know. You can schedule an appointment safely from home online in minutes at idealmri.com or give us a call, 833-IDEAL-MRI, idealmri.com.
Texas Farm Bureau Insurance has protected fellow Texans with auto, home, health, and life insurance since 1952. With more than 260,000 square miles of land and 27 million people, that's a lot to cover. Whether you're wrangling cattle or wrangling kids, we're proud to protect Texans in all Texan ways of life.
Stop by and see our agents at one of our 3 McLennan County locations.
Coverage and discounts are subject to qualifications and policy terms and may vary by situation.
You want to know why Stonewood Dental is so successful? Listen to what happy customers have to say.
It's pleasant. It's different than any other dentist office. I really feel like they care. And it's not that you're here for 2 hours waiting on someone to take care of you. It's quick and easy, and I bring my kids, and my kids love being here too. They really love the treasure box. Staff is really nice and accommodating, real friendly. You feel more like home. It's not sterile looking. Everybody has their own personalized rooms with decorations and decor, and they'll even have a blanket for you when it's cold. I've recommended people to actually come here, and they are patients now. I really love it here. It feels like family.
Learn more, stonewood-dental.com.
From the first workout to the last practice, sports is an incredible challenge. Hi,
This is Danning with the First National Bank of Central Texas, and we're proud to support each athlete, every parent, and our educators. From families, small businesses, to the biggest industry, we're here to help. With remarkable products like instant issue debit cards free at all of our banking centers, we've got banking ideas that fuel big dreams. The First National Bank of Central Texas. Familiar faces making local decisions.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Let Camille Johnson Realtors guide you seamlessly through the process of buying your dream home or selling your current one. Commercial, farm and ranch, or residential, Camille Johnson Realtors can smoothly and successfully lead you through any transaction. With a team of 28 experienced agents who are excited about serving you, Camille Johnson Realtors services the entire greater Waco area. If you're in the market to buy or sell, contact Camille Johnson Realtors, 104 Midway Center in Woodway, or find them online at www.camillejohnson.com. Camille Johnson Realtors, elegant, charming, warm. Welcome home.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio.
Walking LeBron. The SicEm365 Radio Live Guest VIP Hotline is sponsored by Stonewood Dental. We are all in this together.
Epe Udo in Bangkok, China, a basketball star in China, and of course, former Baylor star and a longtime NBA player, joins us on SicEm365 Radio. So let's discuss, first of all, you're in China, and you have to go there, and how long do you have to quarantine, and how long of a process is that before you can start to do anything?
Well, good morning. Thank you for having me. For me, I just got to China last night, or today, I guess you would call it. I got settled around 2:30 a.m., and I will be in quarantine for the next 21 days. China's really, taking a hard stance with the Chinese New Year is about to approach. They're making sure all new incomers, whether they're foreign or not, they're quarantined for 21 days before they get back into society.
So you're getting ready to do that. You've been in Beijing. You played and had a great team last year, what you did. So you're back. Is this kind of, for you, the opportunity financially and also with the league that they play for you to continue to play pro ball?
I mean, all of the above. I just didn't want to go a whole year without playing some type of organized basketball. And I had verbally committed to this team. It's been a long process. Since maybe November, and I'm just getting over here now due to some difficulties and such. So just want to keep playing because God willing, I got about a couple more years, and then I'm gonna hang these shoes up.
I was sitting there just kind of minding my own business, just looking at a couple of things on my timeline, and I saw where you responded to a tweet with President Obama reaching out to you with the book A Promised Land. Did you have any idea that was coming?
I had no idea, and I was still in the daze. I was in bed trying to figure out what I was going to do for the day, and next thing you know, my phone just starts to blow up. And once I seen it, I was excited, but in the back of my mind, I had an inkling that maybe he would, send us a post, but nothing like a video. Like, that was so impressive, suit, tie. It was presidential. It blew me away.
You had said Michelle Obama had reached out one time about your book club as well, correct?
Yes, sir. I want to say that was 2 years ago. While I was in Utah, I was sitting at the table, minding my business, actually watching a documentary on Vice when President Obama went to a prison in Oklahoma, and next thing you know, that popped up. So it was special, to say the least.
President Obama has 128,600,000 followers on his Twitter feed.
Insane. All because of some books, that we started 8 years ago, all because of some books, and here we are. So it's definitely special, but more so for my book club members who've been with me from the beginning.
We're going to play the message from President Obama to you, but the message was about, it's the book A Promised Land, and obviously this is the one that you now, with your book club. What's the message to you when you read that book, A Promised Land?
Well, we're just on the second section of the book. We will discuss it tonight. And another thing I have to say that it even blew me away that he pronounced my name correctly first try. So that was very impressive. But the book is just giving me a different perspective into his presidency and his upbringing. I'm starting to understand the politics behind it all. With everything that was going on during that time, coming out of the recession and such, and and being that symbol of hope for really for the world.
Do you feel like you're a symbol of hope for people sometimes with what you're doing?
For sure. That's always my goal. Ever growing up, parents always instilled in me, and just things along the way. Look out for the next man or woman.
What do you see, Epi, the last, 9-10 months in America? There's been so much that's happened, so many things that have been eye-opening. The country seems to be very divided. We know politically things seem to be incredibly divided. There's so much that's gone on. As a young man your age, and how you now have a role in perhaps how people feel. What do you see now?
I just see division, and it's more pronounced. It's more forward, which I think is the best. But now it's getting to a point where people are afraid to have conversations who disagree with each other. So that's when it gets dangerous. And it's unfortunate, but this is what America wanted. This is where we at. This is where we are at. So now we have to, try to work with one another to provide a better future for the youth, for the children.
We surely can't stop talking, and we can't feel like we can't say how we feel without retribution either way. Last night, I showed you a picture of the Baylor score against Kansas State. They're now 15-0, number 2. They've got a tough SEC game with non-conference game with Auburn coming up, with Sharif Cooper, a star guard with Auburn, playing the last couple of weeks for them. What about this team? Baylor's been number 1. They've been really good. You were a part of building those blocks many years ago. What do you see with this team they have right now?
With this team, they're special because I'm getting Flagler in the offseason. Now it's like a 4-headed guard rotation that at any given night anybody can go off. Like you saw last night with Davion Mitchell. And, you got Jared Butler, who was an All-American. You have the heart and soul of the team, and Mark Vital. Shout out to him and congrats to him. Being the most winningest player in the Big 12 or at Baylor, one of the two. Mm-hmm. He's doing a fabulous job. They have the grit. This is a special team. The only thing that probably concerns me, because now when I look at Baylor, all I can think of is Gonzaga. Is just being able to rebound at a high clip. Because once you go against Gonzaga, they're bigger guards. But I definitely think we have things that will interrupt Gonzaga on the offensive end.
Man, I'll tell you what, isn't that sad they didn't get a play? What was that back in
oh my goodness.
December? They just, man, how... That's a game everybody was looking forward to. Of course, obviously, last year's season gets shut down, and who knows, if they play again, obviously, it would be April 6th for a national championship. A lot of things can happen between now and then, but when that game got shut down, and that happened right before, too. That was... Right
before. I was talking noise. Everybody was looking forward to this game, and then it just got shut down. It just ruined a lot of people's Saturdays. But, if both teams can handle their business in a tournament and meet April 6th, it'll be an even better game.
All right, it's late in China, and you were gracious enough to let me call you early this morning so we could get you on. What is it like living in China? How are you treated? And the level of play is obviously very, very good. But what's it like? You've been there more than one time, so obviously you enjoy how you're treated and what you have.
Right. It's another experience along my career road. I've been blessed But China, I feel like they move at their own pace. It's a different society. And they don't, they show a lot of pride for their country. That's special to see. They love basketball. Wherever you go, there's people playing 5-on-5, pre-COVID, that is. But that's what I noticed the most.
Epe, we appreciate your time, man. Congratulations on what you're doing. Congratulations on the unbelievable publicity from President Obama. Good luck with what you're doing. Good luck with the quarantine, and have a great season.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me, and go Bears.
Epe Udo with us on SicEm365 Radio.
Let me tell you the kind of guy Epe Udo is. I want you to think about this. First of all, he's been playing basketball since, it's almost been over a decade. And he's been a part of the NBA. He's made a ton of money. He's been in Turkey. He's been in China. He was in Beijing. He told me last night when he texted me he's in Pickell, which is obviously it landed in China late last night. When we had him on back during the summer, back in the late spring when there was so much tension around the country and his thoughts. And we asked him about China and about the NBA, and he gave us a great answer on that. But he had just landed and said, here, why don't you get some sleep? It was about 1 o'clock or so in China when he sent me a text that he couldn't do it. And then he said, no, wait a minute, why don't you get some sleep and call me tomorrow morning? It would be it was like 9 o'clock in China when I was able to have a chance to interview him and discuss what is, Armstrong, do we have this? So this was yesterday afternoon or whenever it was. He has this book club, and here's the message that he had on his timeline that was attached to Epe Udo.
Hey, Epe, I saw your tweet and I thought I'd respond. The Promised Land is something Dr. King talked about. Obviously, it's based in the Bible. A guy named Moses talked about it too. For me, the title of my book's about the work we need to do to realize the promise of becoming a more perfect union, even if we don't get there in our lifetimes. Having that faith that it's possible for us to eventually arrive, understanding that it's going to be a tough and sometimes treacherous journey along the way. Anyway, thanks for asking and for reading the book. I'd love to hear any more thoughts or questions the folks in your book club took away from reading it.
So imagine. So I looked at how many people do you think follow Barack Obama on Twitter?
How many people are there on Twitter? I mean,
a few million, tens of millions.
116 million followers saw that message, attached Epe's name to it, and his book club. So it's unbelievable. It's like Oprah back in the day when she had her book club.
It's been something we've been talking to Epe about for like 7-8 years.
I think he started it about 8 years ago. He said that. Yeah.
We talked to him about the book club. We were at California, right? I remember we had him on the show when we were in California before they played Wisconsin.
Yes, when we were in Anaheim.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So that was a big deal for Epe, and just a super nice guy, no question about it, and appreciate his time. And he's now playing at Pickell. He told me, he said that in the interview, he thinks he has another year or two left on his treads to play basketball at a professional level, and has been around a lot of different places. And Paul and Craig and anyone else, 254-339-1122, who were the players that were the building blocks for what Baylor is now? Tweety Carter, Epe Udo, right? Names like that. Am I right? Lomers?
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, Josh Lomers.
Right?
Yeah, I mean, he
was a big part of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You didn't mess with Lomers.
So that was...
That's Joseph Jones. He threw him right down on the ground.
So thanks to Epe Udo, and appreciate his time. All right, when we come back, Max Olson, college football, 4:30, Mickey Spagnola. Anything else to catch up on with the Cowboys? And then also today, don't forget Shireen Williams on David Culley to the Texans. We're supposed to have Lovie Smith on tomorrow at 4. Former Bears, took them to a Super Bowl, was just fired by Illinois. And his name is attached a little bit to David Culley, according to John McClain. Maybe by then we'll have some information. And then also today, Shawn Bell just after 5:30, and this is SicEm365 Radio.
The First National Bank of Central Texas, 5 locations right here at home. Waco, Woodway, Hewitt, China Spring, Martin, and Hillsboro. Familiar faces making local decisions. Here to help you, your family, and your business, whether it's great times or tough times. All of us need a bank we can count on. Great people, great technology dedicated to their customers and helping our area grow. Safe banking in person and use their online and mobile apps. Convenient drive-thrus and ATMs at all locations. Their staff is fantastic. Monty Hulse, Sloan Keel, Joe Barrow, Mackie Bonner. Mackie Bonner helped me fix my credit about a decade ago. I can't thank her enough for that. Jan Coleman, Link Harris helped me get my mortgage loan. Rhonda Crawford, Brian Hand, Lisa Ogletree, and of course our good buddy Dan Ingham, who is the same exact height as me in my dreams. The First National Bank of Central Texas, 5 locations right here at home.
In the market for a quality metal building? Since 1943, Pioneer Steel and Pipe has helped Central Texas residential and commercial customers with metal building design, panel options, building components, and trim options. Pioneer Steel and Pipe's residential line is energy efficient, offers low maintenance, reduces insurance payments, is impact resistant, and carries up to a 45-year limited warranty. In addition, they can also help you find a metal building contractor for your project. Pioneer Steel and Pipe with locations in Waco and Bryan and at pioneersboys.com.
Boozers is the wedding ring store and more. If you're ready to get engaged or already married and want to upgrade your wife's ring for a special anniversary, Boozers is the place to go. With the largest selection of premier quality diamond engagement rings and wedding rings in Central Texas. They have 7 cases with over 300 styles of rings from top designers like Natalie Kay. Choose from yellow, white, or rose gold, plus beautiful top quality loose diamonds. With an in-house jewelry, they can also custom make anything you want. Bring in a picture or drawing and let Boozers create your one-of-a-kind pendant or ring. They can even use some of your old gold and diamond jewelry to create something new. At Boozers, you'll find a great selection of quality timepieces, and Boozers is the place for expert watch maintenance and repairs too. They specialize in expert Rolex watch repair for fine jewelry, watches, custom work, and more. Go to Boozers on Valley Mills and Lake Air Drive in Waco.
Boozers, the wedding ring store and more.
MP Electric has developed a quality-oriented electrical contracting service in more than 20 years in the industry. Led by President Mark Perry, our electricians go through a 5-year apprenticeship program, are licensed by the state of Texas, and getting continuous education annually upon renewal. In great part, the success of MP Electric lies with its management and professional expertise of its employees. All of our employees share a dedication to quality and commitment to serving the needs of our customers. For new construction and remodels, parking lot, lighting and surge protection, landscape lights, security lights, troubleshooting, and repairs. For industrial manufacturing, food and beverage, paper and publishing, heavy industry, cement and rock crushing plants, water distribution plants, and utilities. For 20 years, MP Electric has serviced industrial, commercial, and residential products. We do service right. MP Electric Inc. at 1890 Galaxy Road, Waco. MPElectricUSA.com.
With so many companies and policies out there, it gets so confusing shopping for insurance, and I never know if I'm getting the policy that's right for me. Luckily, I met the team at the Niche Group Insurance Agency. With the Niche Group, you can go to one company and get access to coverage options from many insurance carriers, and you get to speak to a real person about your specific coverage needs. With the Niche Group, I know I'm getting the right coverage at the right price. If you need insurance, talk to the experts at the Niche Group at 1-800-258-8302.
It's time to be brutally honest with yourself. Look in the mirror or weigh yourself. Do you weigh as much, more, or less than you did before the holidays or a year ago? Why not start the year in better shape than how you ended it and create momentum for 2021 and help strip the negative vibes, tension, pressure, and extra pounds from the crazy of 2020? It's time right now to join Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness. It's so much more than a gym, including world-class tennis courts, lessons available with pros, fitness merchandise, tanning, massage, personal training to get you over the hump. I promise you'll look better and feel better than ever before. Just need to walk through the front door. Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness with personal trainers Christy London and Randall Corp. 40-plus group exercise classes, including twice-a-week boot camp, spacious, clean workout room, free weights, Cybex cardio equipment, and no intimidation, a tremendous camaraderie and family atmosphere. So make this your best and healthiest year ever. It's time to react today, not tomorrow. Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness on Lake Shore Drive in Waco.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio. It's time for our weekly segment with Max Olson of The Athletic. Brought to you by Pioneer Steel and Pipe, where customer service is their main focus. And best in metal, steel, and pipe for large or small projects. With 2 locations in Waco and Bryan. Family owned and operated since 1943.
Over the middle, he has Ebner in for a touchdown.
The 4 o'clock hour is sponsored by Boozer's Jewelers, the wedding ring store, specializing in custom jewelry and repair, all in-house.
Now here's David Smoak, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoak.
All right, here we go, this 4 o'clock hour. Shawn Bell at 5:30 today. Shireen Williams on David Culley and the Texans in his career at 5 o'clock from Pro Football Talk. Max Olson. We were just informed that he is not going to take his option and extend it with us because of childhood. Children, baby.
Man, this kid's popping up any day now, so I'm going to have to take a little hiatus and maybe not do the 4 o'clock Thursday for a little while. I hope you understand.
No, absolutely.
My life's about to change a little bit.
So are you on the kind of alert right now that like every time your wife like turns the corner, you're like, oh, what's going on?
Why are you walking?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And having not gone through this before, it's just, I don't know. It's funny just being like, so are we just waiting for, is it like the Hollywood thing of like, there's just going to be some big dramatic water dropping or what are we waiting for? It's, we shall see. I'm excited to find out.
Yeah.
If she ever says it's leaking, that's not the pipes. It's something serious. You got to make sure you're ready for that.
Well, and it just it could happen in the middle of the night. You never know if it's just going to be wild these next few days. I don't know if you guys had any crazy stories like that, Smokey, in your experience, but
I don't think so.
Yeah, it's crazy to kind of not know how this is going to happen here, but very excited for what's coming next.
Yeah, no, just based on my experience in Hollywood, no elevators, no taxi cabs. No, any situation that hijinks could ensue where you get locked in one room and she's in another one.
That makes sense. That makes sense. It's been pretty easy to lay low here lately. That's for sure.
I know with Craig we had to drive from Lufkin to Nacogdoches and get that one done. Where his birthplace in Nacogdoches, Texas. All right.
Well, there you go.
So I want to start with the one that I saw you react to, and it's not Heupel and it's not Tennessee, the job he took, and others as well. How about the story, and I saw you make a comment about Garrett McGuire joining the staff at Carolina.
Yeah, pretty awesome. I remember talking with Joey many years ago when he was kind of trying to figure out his next move and making the jump from Cedar Hill to the college ranks. And I know the priority from the start there for him was, where can I go where Garrett can, be around good coaches and get into the business here? And that's what he really wants to do. And I think you saw just the impact he had on his teammates at Baylor was awesome. I'm sure he's one of the more beloved guys in that locker room in his time there. And to jump right into working for the Panthers there with all those guys he knows so well, what a cool opportunity, a guy I'm sure we're going to be hearing from here in the future.
Max, what are your thoughts on Danny White taking over at Tennessee and hiring Josh Heupel?
It probably would be good to see if they can get a refund from the search committee there, because I don't know why they go through this whole process and then hire the guy you already know, unless they got some no's along the way. And I guess we don't really know ultimately who he all talked to and offered the job to and stuff. But I thought I was impressed by how quickly they were able to hire a pretty proven, competent AD. And I think obviously there's a lot of fires to put out there, and who knows, they really haven't kind of publicly disclosed how many NCAA violations they're potentially looking at here. So he's walking into certainly a bit of a mess there, and then to have to hire a head coach right away, that is a very a move that's going to define your tenure there, is a fascinating thing. But I thought it was a good hire, and honestly, I'm still a little surprised that the end result there is Josh Heupel.
Does it make sense with the way the SEC's kind of changed their style? I mean, it's still a good defensive conference, but as we saw this past year, the offenses have opened it up a lot more. So do you think Heupel makes a bit more sense in that regard?
I definitely understand that viewpoint. And, if they're able to, recruit really talented playmakers from that region and from Florida, to come to Tennessee and make that thing fun pretty quickly. I definitely understand that. And, I think they're in okay shape there at the quarterback position. Certainly curious if Caden Salter can take that thing over. He'd have some good competition from Hendon Hooker there, the Virginia Tech transfer. But I think it's going to be a process to get that rolling. And frankly, I think what we saw with Heupel is he showed up at UCF at a perfect time when Scott Frost had recruited some really good classes and an excellent quarterback and a lot of really good playmakers. So he inherited a really good thing there and, did pretty well with it. But as we've seen with all these Tennessee players going into the portal, definitely a different situation there in Knoxville.
Yeah, it's interesting. We were just talking before we came on the air with you. Oklahoma got Gray, the running back at Tennessee. They've been able to go to UT. This UT was Tennessee after they've, of course, been through their transition. It's interesting how, with it being a wide open free agent system, you could just pick and choose who you want to go raid, right?
Yeah, and it probably has helped Oklahoma that, when you get one of these guys on board in Wanye Morris, and it attracts a few more in Key Lawrence and Eric Gray to come with them. But I think it's pretty I tweeted this yesterday, but I think it's pretty savvy how Lincoln Riley and his staff have handled this. I don't 100% know that this is how they saw it, but the way they executed this was, all right, let's go sign 16, 17 recruits in this class and then save room to, go add some premium players because we know that the portal is just going to be crazy this offseason. And Oklahoma is clearly gearing up for a national title run. I mean, the preseason expectations on them are going to be that this is a top 2, top 3, top 4 kind of team. So, adding these blue chip guys from Tennessee only makes them better.
What does it say about Jeremy Pruitt's future in college football, at least immediately that he went and took that job? Not with the Jets, was first reported, but with the Giants in the NFL.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's hard to say how much the NCAA stuff is going to be a problem for him. I mean, obviously he's lawyered up and intends to prove that, that none of this stuff can be tied to him and that he deserves all of his buyout money from Tennessee. And I'm sure that's going to be a big problem here as they try and, stiff him more than $12 million. But I think it makes sense on his part to go there. I'm sure some people were wondering, would he go back to Alabama where he's been before or one of these SEC schools? But it probably makes sense to go do this while waiting out the NCAA deal and wondering, is Tennessee going to try and pin a lot of this stuff on you and potentially, does that lead to a show cause or things like that? I think there's just a lot we don't know about how that piece of it's going to work out. So it makes sense for him to go into the pros, and also since you're not the head coach, not have to deal with all this stuff that I'm sure was so frustrating for him over the last couple of years in Tennessee.
Max, what do you think about the fit of Keontae Ingram at Southern Cal?
Yeah, Keontae Ingram is a really interesting one going in the portal this year. I was pretty, optimistic about the kind of year he could have in 2020. And, I do kind of wonder if, the fumble against TCU at the end and, fumbling against Oklahoma, which got him benched, if that just kind of shook the confidence either for him a little bit or for that previous Texas coaching staff. And then certainly you saw, Bijan Robinson take over in kind of the second half of the season there. But I still think he's a really good player, and I know what we saw from him in high school. He certainly looked like one of the best backs in his class, and so I think that fresh start and going to a place where they've got a couple of they've got Todd Orlando and Craig Navar there, some former Texas assistants who I think make that transition a little bit easier for him. I think he's got a chance to definitely do some things in that offense that's obviously a little more air raid and not so focused on the running back, but I still think he's a darn good player.
Is Tate Martell the poster child for the transfer portal?
I think Tate Martell is the poster child for the danger of hyping up a kid when he's like 12 years old.
Okay.
I think he's just one of those kids that, you remember he committed to Washington, I think back when he was, 12, 13, 14 years old. And I think you saw the recruiting process just got so big for him over the course of his time in high school. And I think, probably a kid that that, and I got nothing against him or anything. I don't know him personally or anything like that, but you can see how this process would get to a kid's head and convince them that they're, the best quarterback in the country and all that. And, I'm fascinated to see kind of who takes a chance on him, because we just haven't really seen him play all that much besides a little mop-up duty for Ohio State back in the day. So I'm very curious to see, can he go somewhere and actually compete and maybe earn a job? I saw a lot of people kind of laughing about this, and I'm sure he's a very driven kid, and so maybe he's still got something. I'm sure he's got a ton left to prove here. I'm curious to see if someone gives him a shot.
Where do you see him? Like maybe like I'm just going to throw out a name like an Arkansas State, Louisiana Monroe, Sun Belt type school.
Yeah, potentially. I think we've seen a lot of like pretty talented Power 5 QBs that just either lost out on starting jobs or went to the wrong place or whatever, end up at that level. And you can kind of be the guy right away there. And, I think if he can find kind of more of a spread offense, I think he could potentially be good, but we just don't know. We just haven't seen him play at all. And even at, Miami, he just never really, they brought in De'Aaron King, obviously, because they didn't have a guy and didn't think he was the guy. So I really have no idea what he can bring to the table at this point, but it's crazy to think he was in that class with Kellen Mond and Sam Ehlinger and, Charlie Brewer and all those guys. It's been a long time for him.
Yeah, it has. I think UNLV is probably a pretty heavy favorite at this point. Max, Nebraska hit with some recent transfers: Luke McCaffrey, Cade Warner, Will Farniok. What does this say? Were these expected, or are they unexpected? And what does it say, if anything, about the shape of Scott Frost's program?
Yeah, I think in some ways, like the case-by-case standpoint, it kind of makes sense that Farniok and Cade Warner would move on and want to get more playing time. The Luke McCaffrey thing, it's just kind of been a weird deal. I mean, Frost in the middle of the 2020 season says this guy is the future of our program, while benching him for Adrian Martinez and kind of betting on Martinez the rest of the way. And there's still not really not a lot is known about. Did the kid not want to change positions, or did he just not really want to compete for the job again with Martinez? Or is there a place he's lined up where he can go have a chance to be the QB1? I really don't know kind of why it ended the way it did there, but I think the fact that McCaffrey and Wan'Dale Robinson were held up as kind of the future of their program, and those guys are both gone, is a pretty disconcerting sign about just where they're at. And I mean, you saw a ton of Nebraska players today go on Twitter to tweet that like everything's fine, they love being in the program, and there's nothing to see here, and all that kind of stuff. And it seems like a coordinated, like nothing to see here, everybody stop being mean to us thing. So it's going to be a weird offseason in Nebraska. I'm sure of that.
I wanted to recuse myself from this segment real quickly after. Yep, they just lose people left and right. They're just a mess. My God, they're just a mess.
They've had 25 scholarship players go in the portal since the end of the 2019 season. So it's more than anybody in their division. And, this is what you can't have. You can't, run off all the Mike Riley players, bring in your recruits, and then those recruits also transfer. It just leads to a bunch of bad classes. You don't have that much depth. And you look around your division, clearly Northwestern, Iowa, Wisconsin, Minnesota, they all know what they're doing, and they're all a lot more steady and have a clear blueprint. In Nebraska, it's just very frustrating.
All of them you just mentioned have stability. Wisconsin's been through some coaching changes, but they know who they are and what they want. We know what Pat Fitzgerald's done.
I think that's the biggest thing is that Nebraska's had an identity crisis for quite a long time now.
And that's what made them so strong was the fact that for years and years and years, and not just under Osborne, even with Solich, they knew who they were. And then, of course, Solich started having some leaks with the talent level that they needed, and whether he obviously replacing a legend. But my God, they in Tennessee, and you could put Texas in there. Some of the biggest names in college football, Florida State. Glad I could bring them up. But seriously, they're all just a disaster.
2013. It's only been 2 presidents since we were good. Yeah. So
it's been 3 presidents, right? When did Barack Obama take over? 2008? 08?
08, yeah.
All right, well, I mean, they had the Indomitian Sioux team, right, in 9. Yep. But that didn't count because that was still a stretch with it before that. Oh, my God. Bush, Obama, Trump, and now and they're going to go through perhaps how long Biden
We're closing in on 2 decades since they played Miami in that national title. So.
Wow.
Thank you very much for bringing that up, Max. I love you, too. Thank you, buddy. You're right. This is our last segment with you. Goodbye. Hey, in all sincerity, good luck. God bless you and everything with the baby.
Thank you, guys. Always a pleasure.
Max Olson. I said this story when we first brought him on. This is back in April. I was driving. I remember I had just left Sam's. And I was driving down all these access roads that are a mess, and I got a call from Max, and he asked me about what we were going to do, and he said that he wanted to do something with us, and he was immediately connected, and we set up Thursday. He's been on with us almost every single week, other than weeks he's had something to do, and now, of course, with the delivery of his new baby at any time. When we come back, Mickey Spagnola, what does he know about David Culley, and also anything else Cowboys that needs to be brought up. At 5 o'clock, Shireen Williams from Pro Football Talk, long time has covered the Cowboys, but the entire NFL. She'll join us about David Culley and the Texans and Deshaun Watson. I just saw a story from one of the writers that covers the Texans. This Deshaun Watson thing is done. It has gone south in a big-time hurry.
Yeah, I thought initially, kind of needed to wait and see because, again, the subliminal messages he was sending or not sending or whatever. And, I saw the big reaction from the Houston folks. And if you think about, on the surface of Deshaun Watson being so unhappy that he's wanting to lead the Texans in the middle of his prime when he's got a mega contract, it doesn't seem like it should be anything that actually takes place. And yet here it is, and it's actually happening. And I can't believe it. I mean, I believe it now it's happening, but just, I don't know what I'd be feeling as a Texans fan right now. That would have me burning pretty hot.
I agree. Absolutely agree. So we'll have all that the rest of the way. And Sean Bell in about an hour, the quarterback's coach who started out, remember, hired by Matt Rule, along with David Wetzel, and then they brought in Joey McGuire, and those guys have stayed through the changes, through the years of Matt Rule, and also through the first year of Dave Aranda, and now Sean Bell has gone from, he was the offensive line assistant, remember, to George DeLeon, and then he has that hip injury, and then takes over the offensive line. You're talking about throwing him into the fire. Then wide receivers.
No, it's tight ends.
Tight ends, excuse me. And by the way, the tight end position was one of the more successful positions for them on offense last year. And now the quarterback's coach under Jeff Grimes as offensive coordinator. He'll join us in about an hour. And this is SicEm365 Radio. I was looking online at Pickup Outfitters, saw a couple of the reviews. It won under new management. This is back when Jay Ehret first started. It's not new anymore. He has done an amazing job of what he does, marketing Pickup Outfitters. I bring my truck for accessories and moderations. This is where I come, Pickup Outfitters. Good prices, knowledgeable of their products. They sell and install accessories for your pickup truck, SUVs and vans, even minivans and even select cars, including bed covers, step bars, running boards, spray-in liners, hitches, toolboxes, and just about everything you could put on a truck that's not already on the truck. So if you bought a pickup truck and you didn't get a bed cover, for whatever reason you didn't think you wanted one, or you want to change what you have, Pickup Outfitters can help you with that. And not just pickup trucks, but also SUVs and, as I mentioned, minivans as well. They are where you find the highest quality truck accessories at a fair price, professionally installed, and also at factory specification. All outstanding customer service in the Bays. And that's one of the things that Jay Ehret did when he bought the company at 220 Lake Air Drive, Pickup Outfitters. He went in, and they had a great reputation. But when he took over, he took the Bays in the back where things are done, where the work is done, the installations and changes, and my goodness, it's almost like you could eat off the floor because of what he's done to those Bays. Not just because it's clean, but because of all the equipment that they have and the efficiency. Everything purchased and installed at Pickup Outfitters comes with a famous lifetime installation guarantee and free warranty assistance. It's Pickup Outfitters, createacommotion.com.
Car has
has the trucks, man. They have the one for you. Crew cab, short or long bed, silver, black or blue. Texas size selection, great prices too. Richard Carr, he has the truck for you. Carr has the trucks, man. He has the truck you need. If you want the best truck, you want a GMC. Texas size selection, great prices too. Richard Carr, they have the truck for you.
Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, the team physician of Baylor Athletics. Our doctors specialize in the diagnosis and treatment of any and all sports-related injuries. Celebrating over a decade of service in Central Texas, our doctors are equipped to handle a wide range of issues, whether it's your foot or ankle, orthopedic spine care, your hand or wrist, knee and shoulder pain, or if you're in need of our arthritis or total joint clinic. Come see us at the new Baylor Scott and White Ted and Sue Getterman Sports and Orthopedic Center. Trusted doctors at Baylor Trust, Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics. Our goal is to get you back in the game.
Learning to navigate life in the COVID-19 world has been a struggle, and where and how to get tested has been one of the biggest challenges. Impact Health Labs has your answer. If you need mass testing for your office, church, dormitory, or school, Impact Health Labs is who to call. They will come to you, conduct the testing at your location, and have the test back within 24 hours. Most major insurance accepted, meaning your out-of-pocket cost is low. So no more waiting by the phone for days to find out the results. Impact Health Labs was founded by 3 Army licensed and credentialed medical professionals. They believe in accuracy, efficiency, and doing the job right. Call 254-744-6233 to set up your group screening today. Impact Health Labs, on-site, prompt, and accurate, taking COVID-19 head-on. Again, that number is 254-744-6233 or online at impacthealthlabs.com.
It's a new year. Time to fire up the grill, heat up the oven, get that deep fryer going to enjoy the top quality products at Waco Custom Marketplace. Hi, this is David Smoak, including what you'll need to watch the NFL playoffs and Super Bowl. Ribs, sausage, links, brisket, chicken wings, bags of various snacks, and customized appetizer trays. Don't forget to order something now for the perfect home-cooked Valentine's Day dinner, which is closer than you think, including combo packs with ribeyes, fillets, and lobster tails. Live crawfish season is just around the corner. Absolutely the right time to fire up the grill, heat up the oven, get that deep fryer going to enjoy the top quality products at Waco Custom Marketplace. Waco Custom Marketplace, your family meat market, butcher shop and bakery with everything baked fresh with old-fashioned farmers market atmosphere. Serving Waco restaurants and families since 1940. Your one-stop shop for beef, pork, poultry, and seafood needs. Waco Custom Marketplace, 425 Lake Air Drive or WacoCustomMarketplace.com.
Waco's newest gym, Halo Athletic Center, 5725 Bagby Avenue, right behind Region 12 and across the highway from the Central Texas Marketplace, where motivation, inspiration, and hard work are the driving force. State-of-the-art equipment, indoor and outdoor track, locker rooms, showers, yoga and bar classes by Duality Yoga, Bod Pod potty composition analysis, and registered dietitians, all under one roof, where we rise above. Come join the Halo Athletic Center and be a part of the change, your change.
Second down and 3. As Dalton fires, it's Gallup for a first down and a Cowboys touchdown.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio. It's time for our weekly segment with Mickey Spagnola of DallasCowboys.com. Brought to you by the First National Bank of Central Texas, with 5 locations to serve you.
Whoops, sorry about that. Here we go, this 4 o'clock hour rolling along. We might have a special guest between now and the time we go off the air. Shereen Williams at 5, and we'll also today at 5:30 Baylor quarterbacks coach Shawn Bell. We're now joined in a moment by Mickey Spagnola of DallasCowboys.com. And in fact, Mickey now joins us right now on SicEm365 Radio. Mickey, what do you know about David Culley? Been in the business a long, long time, maybe the oldest coach I think ever to become a first-year head coach. Your thoughts about David Culley? What do you know about him?
You know what? I wish I knew something about David Culley. I certainly looked at his bio like you did, and I had no clue that he had been in the NFL for as long as he's been. I mean, that's a lot of years. I mean, it had to be like 20, 25, something like that.
Yeah.
Just off the top of my head. So, yeah, we'll see how that works out, and we'll see if he could mend any fences capable of being ment with the quarterback, Deshaun Watson.
Yeah, Mickey, what situation would you rather be in? The one the Cowboys are in, they're having to constantly, talk about their quarterback's contract negotiations, or to sign one, and then 3 months later, he's already pissed off?
Yeah, see, that's why, everybody thinks it's just an easy deal to sign these quarterbacks. It's a pretty testy thing because it's so important, and it can be so tedious. And as you see with this, I think these guys see what happens in the NBA where guys can force their way out. Well, it's not that easy with the salary cap in the NFL. I was looking at Deshaun Watson's deal, and if they just outright released him, which they obviously won't do, it would cost them $67.14 million in dead money. In dead money, if they trade him, it's 21.6, and that's still a lot of money to lose because you can't come to grips with the guy, and he forces his way out, and he wants to go somewhere else. So either way, it just shows you once you sign these quarterbacks to these types of contracts with signing bonus and guaranteed money, they're yours. And it costs to get out of that situation if either you're wrong or they get hacked off and want to go somewhere else. Now, Houston can hardball it and say, no, you signed the contract. You took the signing bonus money. We're going to keep you. Now, and they certainly could fine him if he decides not to come to mini camps. They can fine him if he doesn't go to training camp or misses the preseason games. And they could just play hardball. So it'd be interesting to see, because here's my thought on all that stuff, is once you allow a guy to walk into your office and demand to be traded or demand to be released, and you do it, the line starts right out the door, and you set a really bad precedent.
Mickey, your thoughts on Jason Witten retirement take two? And do you think coaching's obviously in his future?
Yeah, I just don't know how soon. We say, okay, great, he'd be a good coach, and I think he would be. As a matter of fact, I think he'd be a good college head coach. But again, after you've made $100 million, do you want to work like that again? And I think guys have to kind of, do a gut check on that. Suddenly you're not working from 7:30 in the morning till 4 in the afternoon. You're working from 6 in the morning to 10 at night during the season. And when you've got 3, 4 kids like he does, do you really are you really invested in doing that? So I think it doesn't come down to do you want to coach. It's how badly do you want to coach, knowing the price you have to pay to do it. And the fact that, I guess you could say, okay, fine, I'm going to coach, and if the staff gets fired, well, I don't need to work anymore. I don't have to move. But it's a pretty nomadic life if you decide that you're a lifer at coaching.
Mickey, we're about to have Robert Griffin III on, who, of course, played in Baltimore and played under David Culley. Your thoughts real quickly about how much can be done at the Senior Bowl in Mobile, Alabama?
Well, this is going to be their only chance to watch these guys really work out until they get to pro days, right? Because there's really no combine. And the workouts there, they're, here's the most important thing to me in the Senior Bowl, and why some of these guys chose to go, is that they can get face to face with these different organizations, because you're not going to do that in the combine, right? And I don't know how much of an opportunity you're going to get to do that at pro day. And I got a feeling, they're not going to let the guys come in for 30 visits like they do nationally. So this is your one chance. And I think what you're seeing with some guys, David, is they're going to the Senior Bowl, but they're not working out. And if you're Devontae Smith, you're not even letting them measure you, right? You're going there to get face to face with some of these interviews. And I heard on the broadcast of the practices that the Senior Bowl spent $12,000 on the plastic shields to put in front of whoever in the organization is talking to a particular player for COVID-19 precautions. So, yeah, a lot of the guys went there just to get interviewed, but not to work out. And you know what? I don't need to know how tall Devontae Smith is. And I don't need to know how much he weighs, because whatever it is, it sure wouldn't affect on me analyzing his talent on the football field. And I bet Ohio State wishes they had analyzed it a little closer than they did before they got into that game against them.
Mickey, thank you as always. We appreciate you. Mickey Spagnola, DallasCowboys.com, with us on Thursdays at 4:30. And he, of course, talking about a lot of things, a Senior Bowl. Robert Griffin III has spent his time, the last 2 or 3 years in Baltimore, right? Robert Griffin III would know David Culley. And so he's about to join us. Just got a text from RG3 on David Culley. He'll join us here momentarily after his time in Baltimore and his thoughts about David Culley to the Houston Texans here coming up in just a second on SicEm365 Radio. And again, we have an unbelievable support staff here today, and we'll get to that when we can. It is as if we have a cavalry that you have no idea. Sometimes it's what we say, what you see, Craig or Paul, me and whoever else, Drake and J.D. and Brian or Ashley and Colt. There's so many more people behind the scenes that help us out, no question about it. We are now joined by Heisman Trophy winning and longtime NFL quarterback, the great Robert Griffin III on SicEm365 Radio. And RG, Robert, thank you very much for your time. And so you would know who this David Culley might be and what the Texans have. Your thoughts about his hire with Houston, and thank you very much for your time.
No problem. Appreciate you guys having me on. Good to be on with you guys again, for sure. Yeah, David Culley, he was our passing game coordinator, assistant head coach past 2 years. And, the one thing about Culley is he's going to have those guys ready to go, and he's a great people person. So I think that the Texans got them a great head coach.
For a team that has culture problems, sometimes it's not about, has this guy been a coordinator, has he been a head coach? It's about who can be a leader. Is that what you think the Texans saw in him?
Yeah, obviously I wasn't in those interviews, and I don't know exactly what the Texans were looking for, but when it comes to being a head coach, the great ones that I've been around, they all instill a vision around what the team is supposed to be. They instill a vision into the guys so that they know what to expect every day when they come into the building. Sometimes those guys aren't the guys that call plays or the guys that run the most of the, complex defense of all time. But in my dealings with Culley, he's been great. When we beat the Steelers last year in the last game of the year, or should I say 2 years ago, he was one of the first ones there to congratulate me when things went our way. And then this year when we played him during the COVID game, and it didn't go our way, didn't go my way, he was one of the first people there to talk to me. So I think that his people skills and his ability to connect with players is probably a big thing that they saw in him, and I'm excited for him.
Robert, I know you said it on social media and but how special was your time in Baltimore to you?
Yeah, I had a blast, man. I think being in Baltimore reset me. The organization was great. They showed me, how it's supposed to be done at a professional level. When it comes to just the organization, how they treat the players and how they take care of the players and look out for the best interest. So I think for me, that was awesome. My time there, looks to be over, and I'm excited about what the future holds, man. I got a lot of magic left inside this body, and I'm excited about what free agency is going to bring and what opportunities are going to arise.
Yeah, they're well known as a top class first class organization. Will it inform you in your next move when you've seen somebody who does it like pretty much better than everybody else when you're making that next contractual decision?
Yeah, I mean it's tough to the organizations throughout the NFL are all different, and every single one of them does it just a little bit differently. So I think I'll just take into account the opportunity that's at hand, and talk to my family and figure out what the best move is for me.
Robert, when you look at David Culley and how much you developed in the time in Baltimore, not only being in that franchise and what they meant professionally, as you mentioned to Craig, but what are some of the things? Is there a story or two that you could share about time with him and him helping you with your patience and obviously when it's time to be ready to do something if your name is called?
Yeah, I mean, very simply put, before every game that I was there, Culley would come to me before the games and just tell me, hey, you're one snap away when you're going to need you today. And, it kind of just reset me in my brain every time I stepped out on the field to know that at any point in time, my opportunity could come and the team would need me to step up and fill in for the starter. And like I said, Culley's a great people person. You got to know your history when you talk about David Culley. He's the first black quarterback, African-American quarterback at Vanderbilt. And he's broken down a lot of barriers for guys like myself to have opportunities in the league and opportunities in coaching, obviously. So, I'm very appreciative of David Culley because of those reasons. And then the relationship that I had with him while I was in Baltimore really got to help me see who he was as a human being, as a person. And I think that's what people are echoing, right? They're talking about how great of a guy he is, how he's been through the coaching channels of going to this place and going to that place. He's coached under John Harbaugh. He's coached under Andy Reid, and he's been everywhere. So for a guy like him to get an opportunity, I think it's a great thing. Aside from the fact that he's the first African-American head coach hire of this cycle, it's just about the person that he is also.
That's been a hot topic of discussion, Robert, as you well know, with Eric Bieniemy not getting a head coaching job. There's been a lot of talk about that. How much is that talked about amongst the players, especially African-American players, and how important is that to, you think, African-American players to see more representation in the head coaching ranks specifically?
Yeah, it's always a comparative analysis, right? When you look at the NBA and you see how many players go from playing to coaching immediately, either they go from playing to being a high-level executive on a team or a high-level assistant on a team. And then in the NFL, you see those players in our representation usually go through the bottom of the channels, the quality control coaches. They don't normally get opportunities like Kellen Moore, where one day you walk in the building, you're the third quarterback or second quarterback, and the next day you're the quarterback coach, and the next year you're the offensive coordinator. You don't really see that. And players, it's starting to frustrate players more and more because they feel like a guy like Eric Bieniemy, who has called plays, or not called plays, but been the coach, offensive coordinator for the Kansas City Chiefs for the past few seasons and done it at an extremely high level, and they've produced a lot, and he's not getting opportunities. Whereas other coaches in similar situations as him are getting those opportunities. Now, is there anything that I can do or the players specifically can do to change that? No, not really. But if you're asking, is it a topic of conversation? 100%. It's definitely a topic of conversation, and it's guys just don't understand why it's happening that way.
Robert Griffin III with us, SicEm365 Radio. David Culley, the new coach at the Texans. He was the quarterback's coach when Robert was with Baltimore the last 3 years. What would you say, and I'm not asking you to give advice to Deshaun Watson. You know the story down there. He's not happy. Again, based on reports, no matter the hiring of David Culley, what would you say if you could say something, though, to Deshaun about, hey, let David Culley have 5 or 10 or 20, 30 minutes in front of you?
Oh, man. I mean, I don't know if I would say that to him. I think if he did give Coach Culley, 5, 10, 20 minutes to kind of talk to him, I think he would realize that, Coach Culley is a great guy. He probably has a vision for what he thinks the Houston Texans organization should be and what it should resemble. But ultimately, the decision is up to Deshaun. He has to determine what he wants to do. And I think that's what he's going through right now. And I don't ever want to tell another grown man who's the CEO of his, he's the CEO of his company, his career and all that. He has an opportunity right now to kind of shape it in the way that he wants to. If he wants to be in Houston for the rest of his career, his contract can definitely allow that. And I'm sure the Texans will be open to it. But if he feels like it's not the best place for him to be at for the longevity of his career, then that's his decision and only his decision to make. And, I respect what he's doing. I respect that he's taking a stand for himself, and whatever way he decides to go, I think I saw today he requested a trade. But if he decides to stay, then that's what he thinks is best. And if he decides to go, then that's what he thinks is best, and I can respect that.
How much does your 3 years in Baltimore, even though it didn't work out at the end of the year when you got your chance and then you got injured, how much do you feel like the time in Baltimore helps you with another option to continue your career in the NFL?
Yeah, I think I know where I'm at in my career at this point, right? For me personally, I still believe I'm a franchise player, can be a starter in this league, and not just a starter, but an effective starter. But where I'm at in my career right now, anywhere that I go, I'm going to have to go in and compete to be a starter. And if a team decides to bring me in with a young guy or as an experienced, backup behind an established guy, then I have to go be the best teammate possible. And I think that that's what Baltimore kind of showed me, that I know how to manage those different roles. If I'm throwing the fire, I can go get the job done. And if you bring me in, you want me to compete, or you bring me in, you want me to help a young guy or help an established guy see the game better, do the study and all those things, then I can get it done. But for me, I'm not going to keep playing if it's not fun. And it's still fun, and I still feel like I have a lot left to give. So I'll be ready for any of those opportunities that pop up. And that's just the reality of it.
Robert Griffin III. By the way, Baylor, as you know, with the coaching change from Matt Rule to Dave Aranda, it was a tough year at 2-7. The offense struggled. Charlie Brewer is now at Utah and starting a new chapter in his life. They've got 4 young quarterbacks. All of them have various talents and instincts and traits and skills. They hired a new offensive coordinator in Jeff Grimes, who's in from Brigham Young. Your thoughts about what you saw from afar when it comes to Baylor?
Yeah, I mean, as everyone knows, I'm always following Baylor. I've always got I feel like that's home for me. Coach Aranda did a great job of bringing me in, introducing me to everybody, and then it's just like, and at the snap of your fingers, boom, everybody on the offensive side of the ball is gone. And so I got to meet those guys last year. Hopefully I get to meet these guys this coming off season, but he's got a plan, and I think that's what Baylor Nation's got to realize. They got to trust that plan. I, for one, was sad to see Charlie go. Charlie's a guy that I've been mentoring for quite some time now. But 2 of those other young guys I also mentor and talk to on a regular basis. It'll be fun to see, who rises to the top, who gets that starting job through the competition. But as far as Baylor, I will always support and be there. And who knows, maybe one day, I can go out there and be a coach. Who knows?
Well, I was going to ask you that. I saw what Josh McCown was, somebody that actually had a chance to interview for the job in the Texans and maybe getting into coaching. And he's in his early 40s. Is that something that might be a passion of yours at some point, now that you've seen others who have coached you along the way?
Oh, yeah, definitely. I just think that the pipeline, I think, for a lot of players has been the issue of, what's the process that you have to go through to get to those heights. And I think the guys who have played, like a Josh McCown, who I think was on the practice squad last year for the Texans, but he's up there in his early 40s or late 30s, and he's getting head coaching interviews when he hasn't even coached at all. I think players want to see that because players love to be coached by players, right? They love to be coached by guys who have experience, who've been out there and gone out and done the job. So I think that's definitely something I'd be interested in. Shoot, if the Texans didn't hire Cully, I thought I was going to get a call for a head coaching interview. But that's all fun and games. But I think it is a serious thing. I'd be interested in coaching for sure. But you just got to see how free agency plays out for me for this year and in the years to come, and then figure that out then. But yeah, I'd love to do it. I think my experience with Lamar in Baltimore and kind of being a mentor to him and helping him, see the game and studying all those things kind of made me lean towards looking at coaching in the future. Like, I think this is something that I could possibly do.
Robert, if you don't mind me asking, because I know that the listeners will be intrigued. You mentioned you talked to a couple of the Baylor quarterbacks. Who are a couple of the guys like Jacob Zeno? Who do you talk to and kind of mentor a little bit?
Yeah, so Jerry and Jacob, those are the 2 guys that are still there that I was mentoring along with Charlie. And I got to really meet those guys and see them face to face when we held the quarterback academy camp 2 years ago. And just talking to them, because it's tough in college, right? When I came in, I had Blake Zemansky and Kirby Freeman, Tyler Beatty, Roberts, the walk-on quarterback who ran down on kickoff and blew out his shoulder. I remember that. So I had all those guys, and there were some older guys around me, but we all came in with a new offense. We all came in competing, and I ended up winning that job. Well, for these guys, they come out of high school super highly recruited, just like I was, but now they're having to sit behind an established guy like Charlie, who's been there, done that, and they're not playing as much as they would think that they should be playing based in their own head, and it's really about mentoring them to realize that when their opportunity comes, they got to go seize it, make the most of it, but still be the best teammate they can possibly be throughout that whole process and not let the mundane sitting out of 1 to 2 years and not playing right away make you a lesser player. I think you look at Mac Jones from Alabama, who sat for many years, and then he gets a chance to play this year. He goes out and, almost wins the Heisman, but wins the national championship. So, I think that's kind of where I've kind of tried to aim my energy with those guys just to keep them up and ready to roll. And now they both got their opportunity here with Charlie leaving and an open competition with QB.
Hey, by the way, while you're on the air with us, and I know you've given us much more time than you had, Tom Pelissero is reporting that the Texans are about to bring in Pep Hamilton as the quarterback's coach, and you were with Cleveland when he was there, correct?
Oh, wow, yeah. I was in Cleveland. Pep Hamilton was my offensive coordinator and quarterback coach. So, I don't know. Who knows? Maybe I'll be in Houston, guys.
Yeah, I was gonna
say. I'm gonna go call Pep right now. See what's up.
Yeah. Hey, it sounds like
it would be fun.
You're building your offensive line in the background. You got 3 now? Is that right?
Yes, 3. I got a 5-year-old, a 3-year-old, and a 1-year-old, and they're all running around the house creating havoc. But hey,
it's like a bad pass rush.
I think I only got one more in me. Trying to get a boy, but I got 3 girls right now, so I don't know if I can do any more girls.
You and your wife are both Olympic-level athletes, so I don't want to hear. You're better prepared than most.
Hey, man.
Hey, man. Look.
Thank you for your time, Robert. Appreciate it, man.
No problem.
Thanks for reaching out to me. That means a lot. Appreciate that. Robert Griffin III. Thank you, buddy.
Much love, guys. Peace out.
Robert Griffin III. It was on that first show we ever did back on April the 6th, and all of a sudden, he of course, played with Baltimore for 3 years, David Kelly, and then the story that Pep Hamilton, Tom Pelissero is pretty good at his job, and he might be looks like he's going to be the quarterback's coach, although Josh McCown's name was brought up there. Appreciate Robert Griffin III. And, guys, great job. Armstrong, Jack, Rob, Connor, and Cole, all of you behind the scenes. People can't see everybody, but appreciate every one of you for what you do throughout the show every day, what we do on SicEm365 Radio. Somebody else that knows David Culley, Shireen Williams. Pro Football Talk. She's covered the Cowboys for a long, long time. And then quarterbacks coach Shawn Bell of Baylor will join us today as well. And this is SicEm365 Radio.
Richard Carr, Buick GMC Cadillac. They've got the New Year, New Rise Savings event going on right now. And it's about that time to take advantage of some great deals because these will not last forever, although at Richard Carr, they do seemingly have deals all the time for you. And that continues on right now as they are giving away not cars, obviously, but they are giving away a lot of great bargains right now at Richard Carr. They've got the New Year, New Ride Savings event, and it's something that has been in the works for quite a while. You can stimulate your drive right now and save $8,500 on a new 2021 Sierra SLE Crew Cab truck. You can save $6,250 on the versatile GMC Terrain. You can save $4,500 on the new and exhilarating 2021 Buick Encore GX. You can get that for only $23,900 after the savings of $4,500. You can get a lot of other deals as well. This is not only new cars, but this is also the pre-owned models as well. Cars, trucks, and SUVs all can be yours, including the Sierra SLE Crew Cab truck with $8,500 in savings. That's a 2021 model, and the $6,250 on the versatile GMC Terrain. And, of course, they can bring the test drive to you. If you're wary about going to the dealership, they will bring the test drive and the savings. All you have to do is give them a call or go to their website, richardcarr.com, for more information. But take advantage right now. Thousands in savings on new and pre-owned vehicles can be yours during the New Year, New Ride Savings event at Richard Carr.
Born in Waco, Brotherwell Brewing exists to serve the Central Texas community with locally crafted beer of the highest quality. They want to bring Central Texas closer to the brewing experience so everyone can enjoy well-made beer as much as they do. For 2.5 years, they've been bringing high-quality beer to Central Texas at their location on Bridge Street in East Waco. And this football season, you need to stop by on game day for curbside pickup or stop by their tent next to SicEm365 at Brazos Parking for your pregame refreshment. Brotherwell Brewing believes believes in community and bringing people together to enjoy products made in their community. So for your game day, whether it's a tailgate or at home, stop by Brotherwell Brewing for high-quality craft beer made right here in Central Texas, 400 East Bridge Street, and check them out online at brotherwell.com.
Don Humidor, your home with a 48-foot walk-in humidor with the elite cigar brands from around the world, including the #1 cigar of the year, Aging Room Cuatro Nicaragua. Plus, they have the great brands like Macanudo and Artur Fuente, Rocky Patel, Aston, and so much more. CBD, great for sore muscles, aches and pains, sleep, Vita Dreams, and anxiety, mild depression, general health and wellness. Their staff very knowledgeable on the subject. If anyone is curious about CBD, ask Carol and Ashley. Don Humidor in the Townwood Shopping Center off Valley Mills in Waco.
Start the new year with a new Ram truck from Allen Samuels. Ram's impressive towing capability, heavy-duty payload capacity, and smooth ride have earned Ram the Motor Trend Truck of the Year yet again. That's 3 years in a row. Check out the new 2021 Ram 1500 Lone Star Crew Cab with up to $7,250 in total value. Or take advantage of 0% for 60 or 2.9% for 72 and get $3,000 in rebates. It's the Start Something New sales event at Allen Samuels, your friend in the car business. Shop now at AllenSamuelsDCJ.com. See dealer for details. All offers have credit requirements.
Do you or your kids get nervous about going to the dentist? Stonewood Dental, Dr. Steve Childress, he can help.
I've spent a career taking care of patients who as children had bad experiences, and now they're adults that hate going to the dentist. If I get a kid at 3 years old and they come every 6 months and it's a happy experience, it's normal for them. Now they have an accident at 6 or 7 or 8 at school. Now they have a broken tooth or a trauma, and they have to come here. They're used to lights, they're used to water in their mouth, they're used to experience, they already trust us. It's amazing what we can do with that kid without it being a negative thing. But if I see a 6 or 7 or 8 year old that's never been to the dentist, and now they have a trauma or an unfortunate unexpected toothache, it's harder to do that for that kid and it not be somewhat of a negative experience. So bottom line is I try to teach kids and adults and teenagers and everybody the way I'd want my family treated, which is where it's a necessary part of life. You just take care of it. It doesn't have to be that big a deal.
Learn more, stonewood-dental.com.
When we moved to Texas, we were like fish out of water. We didn't know anyone in our neighborhood until our Texas Farm Bureau insurance agent came to the house. She was so helpful and reassuring, a friendly face with that Texan hospitality I'd heard about. When we purchased a Texas Farm Bureau insurance policy, we knew we were making the right choice. We knew our family would be protected.
Stop by and see our agents at one of our 3 McLennan County locations.
Coverage and discounts are subject to qualifications and policy terms and may vary by situation.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio.
Sliding, throwing, touchdown Dallas! C.D. Lamb.
The 5 o'clock hour is brought to you by Edward Jones and financial advisor Cam Heathcott. Edward Jones, making sense of investing.
Now here's David Smoak, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoak.
All right, here we go, this 5 o'clock hour. How about that, huh? Thank you, Robert. Appreciate it. I had reached out to him about the Super Bowl week, and next thing you know, we have him on today. And timing with David Culley, appreciate him. He's been in Baltimore, RG3 the last 3 years, and Culley has been around the league for quite some time, and his response to that as well. We're now joined by Charean Williams, again, Pro Football Talk, longtime writer in the NFL, Hall of Fame writer in the National Football League, and she joins us. She just did a TV hit, and she joins us on SicEm365 Radio. Charean, when I asked you to come on with us, and you said, yes, we didn't know that there might be new news, although we thought maybe the Texans by now would have a coach. I saw your response. You love David Culley. Is that right?
Oh, absolutely. I've known him for almost 30 years or a little over 30 years or whatever it works out to from his time at A&M in the early 1990s. And then he went to Tampa, and soon after I went to Tampa. So that was our 2 stops where we kind of overlapped. And then obviously we covered the NFL. He's been all around the NFL, never in the same city, but he's traveled all around the NFL, worked for some great people, including Bill Cowher and 18 years with Andy Reid and John Harbaugh the last 2 years. And I talked to him briefly last night, no more than to say, hey, congratulations. And, you know, he was satisfied. The reason nobody's heard of him, he was satisfied with his career as it was. If he went his own entire career without becoming a head coach, he was okay with that. Like, he's just into making his teams better and being good and the team being good. And is not out to, get publicity for himself or have his agent call different people and promote him. That was never what he was about. And if you notice the tweets, in other social media, the people who are criticizing the hire of David Culley don't know David Culley. They haven't seen the teacher, the game planner, the motivator, a guy who's never had a bad day. I saw R.C. Slocum called him a vitamin. You get better when you're around him. And I think that's who he is. And the people on Twitter and social media who are saying, oh, we love this hire, are the people who know David Culley and think he can do a good job. Now, look, I understand what he's walking into. It's a bad situation in Houston. It's a dysfunctional organization. I don't know if he can win there, but I do know that the players are going to play hard for him, and they're going to love playing for him.
Is part of the reason you hire someone like David Culley who is enthusiastic, who is can kind of change the mood of a locker room, is because you have a culture problem in Houston?
Well, it very well could be. And that was one of the things that Deshaun Watson said after the season, that he wanted to see a culture shift, that he wanted to see more discipline, he wanted to see more energy. David Culley's all those things. He sums that up right there. And so, I don't know if he can talk Deshaun Watson into staying. Once you ask for a trade, it's almost like burning down the bridge. Like there's no turning back. Like that's it. And we know that Deshaun Watson asked for a trade before David Culley was even hired. So, I figure the first thing that David Culley does probably is get Lamar Jackson on the phone with Deshaun Watson. I don't know that Deshaun Watson's answering phone calls from Nick Caserio or David Culley today, but maybe he would answer a phone call from Lamar Jackson to call and say, hey, this is my passing game coordinator. Maybe he would answer a call, for some other quarterbacks who are in receivers, who are big-time players who played for David Culley. Maybe he would answer those phone calls and they say, hey, give this guy a chance. And then maybe he answers a phone call from David Culley. And if David Culley can have a sit-down with him, I'm not betting against David Culley, and what he could talk him into doing. So this reminds me of a similar hire of maybe Joe Judge last year, Dane Campbell obviously this year. Guys who kind of came out of nowhere to land head coaching jobs that weren't mentioned before as head coaches. He is the oldest first-time head coach, is 65, and so he knows this is probably his last chance as a coach. And whatever they do, hopefully it's good. Hopefully he can bring a championship to Houston and go out in a blaze of glory. But if he doesn't, he's gotten his chance to do it in his last head coaching job, and I think that's really cool.
Shireen, you've seen a lot of dumpster fire franchises or stretches in the NFL and your time covering the game. Just what do you make of just the Houston situation as a whole, from all the power that Bill O'Brien had to then he's gone, they trade DeAndre Hopkins, now Deshaun Watson's demanding a trade. I mean, it was just, not that long ago, they were seemingly a playoff regular. Just what do you make of the entire situation?
Yeah, well, it started, I think, when, the owner dies and you hand the franchise down to family members and then you give too much power to Bill O'Brien. And I think that's when it all started to turn south. And they're in a bad situation. There's no question about that. They're a dysfunctional organization. And, we've seen it play out in Houston with James Harden, and I'm afraid this is going to play out in a similar way with Deshaun Watson. And there are things he can do to force the Texans to trade him, including, hey, just showing up for not showing up at all, or just showing up and doing the bare minimum. We can hard to show up overweight and, do the bare minimum. You can always do that too and collect your paycheck and go on. And so they've got a lot of things to clear up and decide what to do. And, when you look at the franchise, the best move for them might be trading Deshaun Watson. I mean, that's what they've got to consider too, because he had one of the great years in the NFL that we've seen in a long time. He led the league in passing yards, was outstanding. We'd be having him in the MVP conversation, aside from the fact that they won 4 games. This is a franchise, even if they keep Deshaun Watson, they're a long way with no draft picks and no salary cap space from being a contender again. So do you go trade Deshaun Watson and kind of hit the reset button and start over? And get a ton of draft picks and a ton of players, and it'd almost be like the Herschel Walker situation. Probably. I mean, this is the guy that we haven't seen this kind of guy on the market, and so it would be a Herschel Walker type trade to get Deshaun Watson, and that would build them up with future equity that they could go turn into a good team. It's not going to happen overnight. I mean, they're going to struggle for a couple of years, but boy, you could really start to build a base of a really good team and rebuild some of that draft capital that you gave away and gave away DeAndre Hopkins for not enough draft picks. You know, all those things that you did wrong, you could start to repair that, and maybe you get a bridge quarterback. You draft a young one, and you get a bridge quarterback both. Now, I get it. Franchise quarterbacks don't grow on trees. When we start listing the number of them, there's 10, 12, fewer, and we could argue over how many, but there's fewer than half the teams in the league have that franchise quarterback. So, you know, you're giving up one that you know that's who it is, and even if you get the first or second pick, you're not guaranteed that Trevor Lawrence or Justin Fields or anybody else is going to be as good as Deshaun Watson is right now.
You know, one of the things that the Cowboys, when they did trade Herschel Walker, was it was quiet, and not many people even knew what was going on, and they got a truckload. With Deshaun Watson being so public now and requesting the trade, that doesn't mean they have to do that, and of course he could hold out. Shireen, do they still have leverage because he's just such a great talent, or will they have that kind of leverage the Cowboys have with a Herschel Walker?
Yeah, I think they do because he is such a great talent, and there are so few of those franchise quarterbacks. And you look at the teams that are ready to win right now that it would be an upgrade for at that position. The Dolphins, the 49ers, maybe the Jets, but the Broncos have a good defense, maybe the Panthers. And you start to look at some of those teams, Patriots maybe, with Bill Belichick. You start to look at some of those teams that maybe are a quarterback away and that's all they need, the Colts. I don't think Houston would trade him within the division, but if you throw in those types of teams in there, but you get those teams on the phone and say, hey, give us your best offer, and you pit those teams against each other, which is not what the Cowboys did at all. They found one sucker in Mike Lynn who gave them all the draft capital and those players and everything else, and they got what they got for Herschel Walker and rebuilt the Cowboys in a hurry. And the Texans very well could do that if they can find the right deal. And I think there are enough teams out there that would be willing to give up enough, probably a lot of draft picks and maybe some players. When you look at the Jets, do you want Sam Darnold? Do you want Quentin Williams? Do you want, a ton of, they have so many picks. I mean, they have 4 first-round picks over the next 2 drafts, 2 third-round picks this year. So you can get a lot of picks if you trade them to a team like the Jets or the Dolphins. We know all the picks they have as well.
Shireen, do you think that his availability affects Matthew Stafford in any great way, or is that one of those things that one will go and then the other right after for the consolation prize? And I guess Stafford would be the consolation prize.
Yeah, and it's a great question. Now, I don't think it does because where I think Matthew Stafford is going is I think he's going to end up with the Colts. It just makes a ton of sense. He seems to fit them, and they seem to fit him. I mean, it just seems like a match really made in football heaven for those two to pair up. And so if that's the case, then I don't think that Deshaun Watson holds that up at all. Because, again, I don't think the Texans are trading Deshaun Watson within the division. If they do, they're as big idiots as Bill O'Brien was in some of the dumb trades that he made. I just don't see that happening. Now, we haven't even mentioned the Jaguars. They do hold the number 1 overall pick, and they have a ton of picks. Would you trade, this was intriguing to me, would you trade Deshaun Watson for the number 1 overall pick and Trevor Lawrence? Of course, you get more than that for him because there's no guarantees on Trevor Lawrence, but we all expect Trevor Lawrence to be a great quarterback. Would you trade him within the division to get Trevor Lawrence? That, to me, is an intriguing possibility. If you're the Texans and if you're the Jaguars, and what exactly you would give up if you're the Jaguars to get that established quarterback and not have to wait for Trevor Lawrence to develop.
On a different topic, Shireen, why do you think Eric Bieniemy is not a head coach right now?
Well, it's a great question, and I do wonder, was Andy Reid put in an uncomfortable spot because he had David Culley with him for 18 years. He loved David Culley. He said today they shared a lot of cheeseburgers together. David Culley loved him. And I'm curious if the Texans called Andy Reid and what he said about David Culley and what he said about Eric Bieniemy. And I'm sure, as much as he wanted Eric Bieniemy to get a head coaching job, he also is happy that he's back again. Third year they'll have their same staff together, it looks like, at least the top of the staff. So that has to be pretty exciting for him to go into next year knowing that he's not going to have to find an offensive coordinator. He'll have the same guy with him. So why Eric Bieniemy doesn't have a job, I don't know. You can say he's not, you've read he's not good in interviews. Are you telling me that Adam Gase and Matt Patricia and some of these guys who got head coaching jobs are better at interviews than Eric Bieniemy? I find that really hard to believe. And, you tell me, well, teams don't want to wait till after the Super Bowl to hire him, which they'd have to do. Okay, I get that. But you can hire a guy, which, by the way, the Lions did with Matt Patricia while his team's still in the playoffs in the Super Bowl, but you just don't announce it, and you start working on the coaching staff, and he's still involved in those discussions while he's planning for a Super Bowl. They did that with Matt Patricia, so I don't think that's a good excuse either. So I guess to answer your question is I don't have a good answer on why he's not a head coach yet. I think we all thought if it wasn't last year, it would be this year. Now we're all thinking, well, it'll be next year. And I don't think people are saying, well, maybe he's waiting for Andy Reid to retire. That's not going to happen. Why would you retire if you're Andy Reid? You're 62. You finally have your franchise quarterback. You know you're going to win some more Super Bowls or should win some more Super Bowls. I don't see that happening. He's going to have to wait a while if he's waiting on Andy Reid. So there's no good answer of why he doesn't have a job yet, but I hope he gets one next year.
Have we had in a Super Bowl matchup this kind of star power? I know Staubach and Bradshaw played against each other, so that immediately comes to mind in the 70s, but kind of this young star power in Mahomes, who's won a ring, and a guy that's trying to win his seventh.
The greatest of all time.
The greatest quarterback of all time.
What I compared it to yesterday, I did this exact thing for Channel 8 locally, was Joe Montana and Dan Marino. Same type situation. Montana, we considered at that time, if not the best of all time. He was getting there, and Marino was early in his career. Oh, he's going to win a ton of Super Bowls. Obviously, Marino never got back to one, and we all thought he'd win multiple Super Bowls, and Mahomes has already won one, and Mahomes has already been a league MVP, so a little different, but I think that's the comparison probably you make with the star power. And I would probably say previous to this, that was probably the greatest quarterback matchup of all time, knowing what we know now. And, unfortunately for Marino, he never won that Super Bowl, but that's the one I would compare it to probably.
Okay.
All right, Shireen, are the Cowboys going to be fixed in the offseason? Are they going to fix this situation? Or do we expect more kind of up and down like we saw, and mostly down this year?
Well, they've got to sign Dak to a long-term deal. If they can't get that done going into free agency, they're in trouble because they're not going to have any cap space because it'll be $37 million that'll be tied up with the franchise tag with Dak Prescott. They've got to get that deal done, and they've got to get it done in a hurry, and hopefully they're already talking and making strides on that. Cowboys are going to have to pay more than they want to pay, much, much more than they want to pay. That much is obvious. And, the thing about Dak is, his heels have been dug in. He hasn't given in like most of Jerry's players in the past have given in. I mean, he's dug his heels in and said, I'm betting on myself, and he's done that year after year after year. So the question becomes for his part is, does he want the long-term deal now, or is he going to bet on himself again for one more year and then become a free agent? Can you imagine him? More than likely he'd hit free agency because Cowboys won't be able to keep him with what they would have to use for the franchise tag, maybe the transition tag, but even at that point it's over $40 million. So they have to get him signed to a long-term deal if he'll do that deal. If he doesn't do that deal, then they're not going to have much cap space to do much of anything. And I think you're looking at the same team or close to the same team, maybe even a little lesser personnel than what they had this year. And you have to hope that the coaching on the defensive side of the ball is better so they can compete better. And Dak Prescott can do what he was doing before he got hurt. But it's a great question. It's going to be fascinating to watch because you start thinking about it, they don't have that long. March 17th is right around the corner. And if they can't get this done before then, they're going to be in trouble.
Shireen, as always, thank you so much. We appreciate your time. Thanks for your time, and God bless, and, of course, your Hall of Fame career as well. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Shireen Williams, Pro Football Talk, longtime writer for the NFL, Hall of Fame. She and John McClain are on the Hall of Fame presentation committee. Rick Gosselin, who has been battling COVID, she, in fact, when she presented a couple of things in the Hall of Fame virtual presentations a week ago Tuesday, brought up Rick Gosselin, who's a great friend of the show, from the longtime writer of the Dallas Morning News, used to have the absolute most amazing NFL draft coverage, and then also his prospectus, and then him picking who he thought, and used to nail 70-80%.
He had a mock draft one year that he like hit the first 17 picks in a row, which is almost impossible to do. Yeah. Like he even predicted a trade like almost to the exact pick. And I remember asking him one time, and I was like, how do you do that? I've done 2 mock drafts in my entire career, and both times I get halfway through and I say bad words. I'm like, I can't figure this out. I don't know anything about this GM and what he likes or what he wants and this new coach. And Rick Gosselin, he was very good and very thoughtful about it. A lot of times you read a mock draft and it's kind of like, let's see what sticks on the wall. Like, this team should draft this. Yeah. And then they're trying to get people to write them on Twitter and be like, you know what? No, they should never have that guy.
Here's a 30-page slideshow going through the picks one by one. No, I mean, I liked the Rick Gosselin era of mock drafts when not every single person in the world seemed to have one. And I know there's various experts, analysts, whatever, Dane Brugler or, whoever else you want to mention, obviously Kuiper and McShay on ESPN. And there's good ones that are out there to be found, but there's a lot of bad ones too, or a lot of ones that are just like, copies of others and slight changes. But no, when Gosselin did it, I mean, he did that without the benefit of all the information that's out there these days. And so those were pretty cool.
Yeah, he was fantastic. Shireen Williams, thanks for her time. So far today, we have discussed Baylor's dominant win against Kansas State. Baylor men's basketball did have a media session at around 4:30 today when we had Mickey Spagnola and then RG3. We'll have some of that for you, of course, tomorrow. Plus, Lovie Smith. Still not so sure. John McClain's the one that brought him up as a possible coach on David Culley's staff with Houston. Not sure if that's something that happens, but right now he's scheduled to join us at 4 o'clock tomorrow here on SicEm365 Radio. The Bears have never been as good since the year they fired him when they were 10-6. They had this year's team, made the playoffs, but they have not been nearly as good since the time they let him go after took him to a Super Bowl, lost to Tony Dungy.
Until a week ago, the Bucs weren't either.
That's exactly right. No, that's a great point as well. All right, let's take a break here, Armstrong. Take a break here, and then we'll come back. Shawn Bell's going to call us. It'll be anywhere between now and the next 10 or 15 minutes.
I'm actually in control of that situation, so. I told Taylor Bryan, listen, I'm calling him or we're not calling him at all.
Taylor's listening right now. He's like, oh, really? Is that what you said?
No, we're going to call Shawn
Can you wait till we get him on before you say that to Taylor Bryan?
No.
Save it for after the segment. We're in control, so let's go ahead and take a break, and then we'll have Shawn Bell.
Shawn Bell, again, let's not forget to ask him, although it wasn't with him, when Jeff Grimes was on with us about a week ago or so, he mentioned how he used to recruit the area and went by China Spring and met, of course, Mark Bell, his father, Brian, now the head coach, his son, along with Shawn. So we got to bring that up with Shawn and go, how come he wasn't recruiting you at the time?
Well, he said he was recruiting a player from China Spring. If it would have been Shawn, you would think he would have remembered.
No, he would have brought him up, yeah. All right, that's next. Shawn Bell.
By the way, there was one note I wanted to pass along. Right. Ron Rivera, Washington head coach, cancer-free. After having the cancer battle, and that was very publicized this past season. He did a great job with Washington in their first year. They need to find a quarterback. I don't know what kind of package they could put together for Deshaun Watson. That wouldn't be extremely costly for them, but they'll probably just go draft somebody. But, yeah, Ron Rivera, cancer-free, so very positive news.
That's a franchise. I was hearing some discussion on one of the shows that's in, they're just constantly running together about that franchise, which has been a dumpster fire. We hear about what the Texans are going through, right? And, the Cowboys have not done anything really much in 25 years, but they're still looked at. And yeah, I know they're not looked at like the Patriots or the Steelers or the Packers or now Kansas City, but they're still looked at. Jerry does such a brilliant job of marketing them that you would sometimes forget that they haven't won many playoff games or division titles, and they surely haven't done much at all to threaten the Super Bowl in 25 years, right?
Nope.
I mean, no. In the last 25 years, we've seen them go from being the premier franchise in the entire league to being passed up by the Patriots and the Steelers, and I think those are the only two that have passed them.
Giants even won twice since then.
Yeah, I mean, the Ravens have won a couple of Super Bowls since then. I mean, there's been
the Bucs are in their second one.
Yeah.
When the Cowboys won the Super Bowl before, the Bucs were the joke, like the Browns were.
Yeah, they were.
I mean, I lived. We would go to Bucs games, and you would go to Bucs games to see who they were playing. I remember the first one I went to was because the 49ers were there, and my dad and I wanted to see Jerry Rice and Steve Young. We thought that was great. We didn't go to watch the Bucs.
Shame on you. You didn't have the creamsicle uniforms back then?
Oh, no. I mean,
you were not even born back then.
No, yeah, no, that was what they were wearing, yeah. But,
Were they in that first Super Bowl?
No, when I was when I was a kid. Yeah. So, yeah, it was 1992 or so. I remember going to the...
Was it Dexter Jackson that returned an interception for a touchdown against the Raiders? Yeah.
That's right.
Against Rich Gannon?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, and we'll be in Tampa. Paul Catalina will join me in Tampa next week on what is a minimized type radio role. We've got, for example, Mark Schlereth, Ross Tucker. We've already lined them up along with many others. Will Shields will be on in Tampa at the Convention Center. Thanks to Marco's Pizza and Bob Mock. We appreciate him.
Yeah,
we'll be there next week.
We told the NFL we would only go if we were one of the elite few that could, and we could socially distance a long way out.
Oh, believe me, there's going to be plenty of space between us and maybe 2 or 3 other radio stations inside the Tampa Convention Center. But we'll be there live on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday and still bring the coverage. That'll be the day after Texas and Baylor play men's basketball Tuesday night in Austin as well. This is SicEm365 Radio.
Brotherwell Brewing has trivia tonight. 400 East Bridge Street, just a couple of blocks down. Make sure you make your reservations. It's fun. I had a blast hosting it a couple weeks ago. You should go. If you're a trivia fan, David Stone King does a great job putting together the questions. They have a great time. And look, if you can't make it to trivia and you're a fan of craft beer, they've got curbside takeaway. You can go up to the brewery and pick it up. And plus, it's starting to show up in some local stores around the area. Just go to their website, brotherwell.com, to find out about that. If you say you want to go and bring somebody who's not a beer drinker, maybe your boyfriend, your girlfriend, your wife, your husband is not like a beer fan, they often hear, I don't like beer, but I do like this. That's Brotherwell Brewing. Brotherwell Brewing, 400 East Bridge Street, online at brotherwell.com.
Fall in love with a new vehicle for less at Allen Samuels with incredible deals like a 2021 Jeep Cherokee Latitude Plus or Lux with $6,750 in values, or a 2021 Jeep Grand Cherokee Laredo for $4,250 in values. There's a reason why Jeep has so many accolades. So come see for yourself and save at AllenSamuels.com. It's the Start Something New sales event at Allen Samuels, your friend in the car business. AllenSamuelsDCJ.com.
With more than 160,000 alumni worldwide and counting, the Baylor family is growing. And through the university's expanded Baylor alumni program, the family is growing closer. With hundreds of local volunteers planning events in cities and towns around the country, you can gather with fellow Bears no matter where you are. So, get connected, get something started, get involved, and make plans to get together with Baylor alumni. Visit us at baylor.edu/alumni.
Riverbend Liquor and Wine has their easy-to-access drive-thru open and convenient and clean in-store location on the corner of Lakeshore Drive and North 19th Street in Waco. Riverbend Liquor has the best and most extensive variety of craft beer selections in Waco, and Balcones whiskey, including single malt, pot still, baby blue, rye, brimstone, and the all-new lineage in stock. Riverbend Liquor and Wine, family-owned and operated, and a hidden gem in Waco on Lakeshore Drive and 19th Street. And find out more on Facebook and Instagram.
It's a new year. Time to fire up the grill, heat up the oven, get that deep fryer going to enjoy the top quality products at Waco Custom Marketplace. Hi, this is David Smoak, including what you'll need to watch the NFL playoffs and Super Bowl. Ribs, sauces, links, brisket, chicken wings, bags of various snacks, and customized appetizer trays. Don't forget to order something now for the perfect home-cooked Valentine's Day dinner, which is closer than you think, including combo packs with ribeyes, fillets, and lobster tails. Live crawfish season is just around the corner. Absolutely the right time to fire up the grill, heat up the oven, get that deep fryer going to enjoy the top quality products at Waco Custom Marketplace. Waco Custom Marketplace, your family meat market, butcher shop and bakery with everything baked fresh with old-fashioned farmers market atmosphere. Serving Waco restaurants and families since 1940. Your one-stop shop for beef, pork, poultry, and seafood needs. Waco Custom Marketplace, 425 Lake Air Drive or WacoCustomMarketplace.com.
From the first workout to the last practice, sports is an incredible and rewarding challenge. Hi, everyone. This is Dan Ingham with the First National Bank of Central Texas, and we're proud to support each athlete, every parent, and our educators. From families, small businesses, to the biggest industry, we're here to help. With remarkable products like mortgage lending, we've got banking ideas that fuel big dreams. The First National Bank of Central Texas. Familiar faces making local decisions.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Learning to navigate life in the COVID-19 world has been a struggle, and where and how to get tested has been one of the biggest challenges. Impact Health Labs has your answer. If you need mass testing for your office, church, dormitory, or school, Impact Health Labs is who to call. They will come to you, conduct the testing at your location, and have the test back within 24 hours. Most major insurance accepted, meaning your out-of-pocket cost is low. So no more waiting by the phone for days to find out the results. Impact Health Labs was founded by 3 Army licensed and credentialed medical professionals. They believe in accuracy, efficiency, and doing the job right. Call 254-744-6233 to set up your group screening today. Impact Health Labs, on-site, prompt, and accurate, taking COVID-19 head-on. Again, that number is 254-744-6233 or online at impacthealthlabs.com.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio.
On first down, nice play fake. Bell going up right down the middle, has a man open. Caught! Trent Shelton, touchdown Baylor, their first play of the ball game.
This segment on Baylor Athletics on SicEm365 Radio is brought to you by Richard Carr Buick GMC Cadillac, located at the Imperial Drive exit off Loop 340 in Waco. Proud supporters of all Baylor Athletics.
Here we go, this 5 o'clock hour. RG3 was about an hour ago, so why not another former Baylor quarterback, right? And Shawn Bell, who's now their quarterback's coach, China Springs' very own, joins us on SicEm365 Radio. Craig Smoak, Paul Catalina, and David Smoak. Hey, man, we haven't talked to you in a long, long time, so let's discuss the opportunity as a quarterback's coach. How did that go about with Dave Aranda? What were the discussions like, and your thoughts about the role you have?
Well, first off, Smoak, thanks for having me on. It's always a privilege, and enjoy visiting with you guys. But yeah, it was definitely a exciting opportunity. I think Coach Aranda had a vision for where he saw this program going and the changes he wanted to go and what direction exactly he wanted to go. And so, I was at the house one day. He and I have been talking throughout the break, and he gave me a call and said, let's talk through this, let's talk through that. And one of those things was he wanted me to have the opportunity to visit with Coach Grimes, and he kind of laid out his vision for what he wanted our offense to look like and who the leader of that offense could possibly be in Coach Grimes. And he said, but hey, I want to make sure this is a good fit for him, a good fit for you, a good fit for everybody before we make this thing official. And so I'm sure I'm sure you've spoken with Coach Grimes, and then Coach Grimes and I got on FaceTime, and just really had a chance to get to know each other first. Talked about philosophy and family, and really who we are as people. And I thought that was a tremendous fit. And then we started talking offensively, and what the quarterback position entails, what that what a quarterback coach entails, and what our offense would look like, what I would want it to look like, what he would want it to look like, and just really felt at peace about that. And obviously, I think he did as well. And so, after we talked, I got back on the phone with Coach Aranda, and we talked through some things, what I thought, and then I'm assuming he did the same with Coach Grimes. And so that night we visited some more at length, and the next day he was announced, and just really excited for the opportunity. It's a blessing and something I take a lot of pride in, and just can't say enough about Coach Grimes and the direction of this offense, and also Coach Aranda and his vision for what we're going to be.
You are getting to coach a position that you actually played now, and a lot about quarterback position, but coaching offensive line and tight ends, how will that inform you now as a quarterback's coach with the knowledge that you've gained over the last few years?
Yeah, my first year here, I was with the quarterbacks. I was, I guess underneath Coach Thomas and worked alongside them and got to really be involved in that. But I think the last 3 years of not coaching quarterbacks has just evolved me as a overall philosopher of offense. And so to understand how the offensive line works with protection, obviously that's going to be a huge asset from the tight end room, being understand the passing game and the run game. But so it's where I've always wanted to be. And people have always asked me, I was offensive line for 2 years and tight end last year, and they'd always, guys on staff would say, you're a quarterback guy. You need to be with the quarterbacks. You need to be with the quarterbacks, and that's something that obviously I'm passionate about. But I definitely think that those 3 years of experience have prepared me to see things in another light and have a great understanding of what those guys need and kind of put the puzzle together. Not just knowing my position, but ultimately, what the entire offense should look like.
Shawn, how would you describe your philosophy on offense?
Well, I think my philosophy is Coach Grimes' philosophy.
Good answer.
There
So
you go.
how does that overall philosophy work?
Yeah, I think as you get to know and as you get to see this year, I think you're going to see an attacking offense that is going to do a lot of different things, a lot of different ways, and then use more misdirection than anybody else. And so I think on offense, you got to keep people on your heels. Ultimately, I think it's about putting the ball in the playmaker's hands. And so as a quarterback coach, that's what we talk about is, hey, we're going to make plays with our feet. We're going to be athletes, but ultimately we've got guys, and especially with our team coming back, that we've got to put the ball in their hands to make plays. And so that's kind of what the position entails. And so I think, as we dial into this offense and we head into spring and the summer and prepare and head into the fall, I think you're going to be pleased with exactly what that looks like. But I think Coach Grimes said it best in our very first meeting, and our job is to score points. And so, until Coach Aranda tells us to slow down, we're gonna be scoring points and as fast as we possibly can, and at a rate as much as we can. And so, I like that attacking mindset.
You almost had a chance to call plays, and I don't know if it was the Oklahoma State game or one of the home games, and when COVID hit the coaching staff, and then of course you yourself couldn't be there. Was that going to be kind of an interesting opportunity for you? You've called plays as a high school coach, but was that something you looked forward to?
Yeah, it was an interesting 24 hours to say the least. I was sent home under the impression that I had COVID, and then brought back because my test was not COVID positive, and then the next one I hit, and so it was it was a roller coaster of emotion, and I was looking forward to that, and I was excited. And anytime I look forward to any chance to go compete, and it was a great opportunity. But at the same time, I think everything happens for a reason, and so I wasn't meant to be at that game. And I was really excited for Coach Juice, Coach Justin Johnson, our running back coach, and I was very supportive in him and talking to him, and so it was definitely I've never experienced anything like watching a game I'm coaching in from the back porch. That was definitely different for anything I've ever been a part of. But yeah, it was an interesting time, Smoak. It was 2020 I think as a whole was definitely interesting. So
Shawn Bell, Baylor quarterbacks coach, with us on SicEm365 Radio. Paul,
you've got. Is it fair to say you've got youth in the room or inexperience, or do you feel like you have more experience than may be at the surface?
I think you say youth as far as game experience, but I think we have the talent and the people in the room to be successful. I think you've got, it's just exciting. It's going to be a wide open competition. I feel very good about the room and what it's going to look like. You've got, a guy that's been here for a long time. It'll be his third offense. Another guy that'll be his third offense. And, you got, and Gary and Jacob, both those guys, this will be their third offense since they've been here. And then Blake, this will go into his second. And then Kyron's fresh. And the neat thing about Kyron is he's coming in here and, he's going to learn it at the same rate as the older guys. And then, we've also got Brandon Bass in the room who, is a tremendous asset and a guy that really has a huge role on the team. And so, I feel like between those five guys that we got everything we need. We just, it's going to be an open competition, go out every day and compete in everything we do. So.
Shawn, how big was it to get the announcements of, Terrell Bernard and Raleigh Tejada and just all the guys that have elected to come? Treston Ebner, obviously, is somebody you'll be working closely with. I mean, there were some thoughts that with this wide open transfer portal, everything might just go crazy, but, Baylor seemed to make out pretty good with a lot of big, important players making the decision to come back next year.
Well, I think that just shows you that the belief they have in Coach Aranda and his vision for this football program. And I think that, every day I'm around Coach Aranda and even the changes we're still making every day, the belief is growing and growing with, you walk through the weight room and see Vic and our strength staff and what they're doing with our football team, and you get to know Coach Grimes, and and the rest of the new staff, and the vision that he has is outlaid for our football team. The belief is there for and so you look at not only breeds success from the fact of talent coming back, but ultimately leaders. But the biggest thing is the power of belief, and so that belief is definitely there, and our guys are believing. And I think that all just a testament to Coach Aranda and his vision for this program.
What does it say, and how much did you have a role in this? That obviously last year offensively it was such a struggle, and I'm imagining it was hard on everybody, a part of the program. But Gary Bohannon, in this day and age, it's easy to say goodbye. Obviously, Jacob Zeno. Charlie did. He eventually left. He's in Utah now. What does it say about Gary and Jacob that they said, you know what, we're gonna get our opportunity. Let's be patient, even though I'm sure it was hard.
Yeah, I think it says a lot, and I think it's a testament to who they are and how they were raised, and that tells you what type of competitor they are. And you're exactly right. The easy thing to do is to jump in that transfer portal and feel sorry for yourself, but I think that both those guys will tell you, along with the other three in that room, that they're ultimate competitors, and they, they see the vision, they see the opportunity, and so I think it tells you that they're really also pro Baylor, and they're everything that Baylor stands for. People that want to get an education from here, and their time hasn't happened yet, but the fact that they're patient enough and willing enough to keep working and keep their head down with the belief that they'll eventually be the guy, it says a lot. And so I think that what you said is exactly right, Smoak. It says a lot about them as people, and it's guys you want leading your football team. People that, when things were tough and they weren't easy, they didn't jump ship. And so it says a lot about both of them.
Coach Grimes told us that he did come across your dad a few years back when he was recruiting and went to China Spring. Now, he clearly wasn't recruiting you, so that may be something you have to take up with him later. It might not line up.
That might be a problem.
You might have to take that out in a meeting. But it is. Does it weird that you have such a small world where you're all of a sudden hired by a guy who years before made his way through China Spring?
Yeah, I think that's just the coaching world, and I think it's amazing there are guys that worked with him at BYU that I'm close with that before I even knew this was a possibility. It spoke so highly of Coach Grimes, and fortunately, I think he's also said the same. There's people that are in my circle that he's talked to about me, and so that's kind of the world of coaching. You find out where somebody's at, and you usually are pretty close with them in some capacity, whether it be somebody they've coached with or somebody they ran across in the high school ranks or something like that. So that's kind of this business. It's pretty neat.
You talked about Coach Grimes. What have been your impressions of Eric Mateos and Chancey Stuckey also being a part of the new offensive staff?
Well, when that first conversation that Coach Grimes and I had, the number one thing we talked about was cohesiveness within the offensive staff, and I think ultimately that's what he felt comfortable with after our conversation, and I know I felt the same with him. But that's what I feel when I'm in that room with Coach Grimes, Coach Johnson, who's returning, and then Coach Stuckey and Coach Mateos is that cohesiveness. I mean, we're guys that ultimately want what's best for Baylor, ultimately are going to be driven to do what's best for our student athletes first, but then also at the same time, we're going to win football games. And so it's nice to sit in a room, be around guys that have this, same mindset, the same beliefs. They have their own coaching style, but they're guys you really enjoy being around, and you just see the energy level of both of those guys specifically. I mean, Coach Stuckey's a guy that's obviously played at a very high level and has a ton of knowledge, but ultimately a guy that, you look at and you go, man, I'd love for my son to play for him one day. And Coach Mateos the same. He's now in a room that I once stood in, and I'm just so excited for those guys to have him in there and the relationship that he's already started building and the motivation that he's providing for that room. I'm just excited about it. And so I think that the word cohesiveness just jumps out because I think, us five guys in that room together, you can feel it. And I felt it the first day, and it's just continued to grow every day we're in there together.
When Coach Aranda made the change and changed the staff and Fedora, Munoz, and eventually Wickline, and you knew about Fedora and Munoz, those were the first, that's the first level. Was there a part of you, Shawn, or was there enough time to even have any thinking in your head that you wanted to be the offensive coordinator?
Well, I think as a competitor, I think anybody would tell you they always want to coach and be at the highest possible position they can be at. But, my conversations with Coach Aranda is, number one, I'm Team Aranda, and I'm Coach Aranda. Whatever vision he has for this program is the same vision I have. And so, I kind of conveyed that to him. And so whatever that role may be, whatever role you feel that to be, I'm headed in that same direction as you. And so ultimately, I think, there's egos in this profession, but ultimately my loyalty to Dave Aranda and my loyalty to Baylor comes way before my ego. I promise you that. And so ultimately, just excited for the opportunity I'm at. And I think when you look at what Coach Aranda saw when he made this hire in Coach Grimes, to number one, the type of person he is, number two, the type of offense he runs, it's something that I just am so thrilled every day I walk in that offensive staff room to look at and learn from, how to live your life as a human being. And then also offensively, his philosophy is something that I believe in, but haven't been around much. The run game that we're incorporating, some of the passing game, the vertical threats that we're going to use. And so to learn from him is just another opportunity for me to grow. And so I'm just so excited for that. And so, like I said, I think that's just a testament to Coach Aranda, his vision, and I've got all the faith in the world in the direction we're headed.
Coach Grimes still happy to be back in the state of Texas?
Yeah, I think so. I can't put in enough plugs for China Spring. He's probably tired of me. He's trying to find a house right now, and I keep plugging China Spring every chance I get. But yeah, he's excited. He talked about it in our staff meeting yesterday. That's how he started off the meeting, was just how grateful he was to be back in the state of Texas and to be around, the great high school coaches, the great, game of football. But really, it's about the relationships to him. His mom was 2 hours up the road, and he actually alluded to it. I'm speaking for him, but his best friends in the whole world are all, within driving distance. And so for him to be back at Baylor, back in the state of Texas and be at Baylor, he said just like a dream to him. So you can feel that when he talks. You can see that when he walks in the building and then when he walks in the room every day.
Shawn, I know this is a bit off topic, but you brought up China Spring, and I don't know when we'll talk to you again, so I have to ask you about what you thought of your brother Brian and the season that they had. Is obviously an incredible run for the Cougars.
Yeah, I don't know how much I can talk about the Cougs, with all the I can say this. I'm super proud of my brother. I can talk all I want about him, and so just kind of like I was saying, I think that I've always known who my brother is. We've been close, and just to see him grow as a coach, and ultimately he's had this is his third year here, to see the success that he's had and the type of coach and the leader he is, it just makes me extremely proud.
Do you remember the most passes you ever threw in a single college football game? Was it 35, 40? Was there one where you popped 45 or 50? Do you remember just off the top of your head? I got a question. I want to compare it to something.
No, I want to say it was probably the A&M game, whatever that was.
35, 34?
That was the score. I don't know what the passing attempt. That was a long time ago now. So
no, you're not that old. There's nothing in your life that's a long time ago. You wait till you get to be old and you'll understand. I'm bringing that up because do you realize you threw 850 more passes in your career than the 64 combined of Gary Bohannon and Jacob Zeno, because they haven't had many opportunities. Did you even think that way?
No, I didn't. And that's pretty. That's a lot of passes. I didn't even know I threw that many, but that's a staggering number. But I don't think that doesn't scare me, and I know it doesn't scare them, and I know that doesn't scare this football team. And two guys, along with Blake and Kyron and Brandon, those are guys that we have confidence in, and we know that as we go through spring and we head into fall, we feel like we've got the people in place to do the things we need them to do. So I hope they break every single one of those and throw for. Hopefully, a lot more successful than I was. I know that. So.
How many? Hold on, you got the stat sheet.
35-34. Shawn was 32 of 50.
Wow,
for 262 and 4 touchdowns.
There you go.
Yeah. Oh wow! I didn't know that.
And a 2.
And a 2. And a very important 2. Yeah.
Well, I played your touchdown to Trent Shelton in the open against Texas, where I wish we had shown the video highlight on it, because you did now what you did running down the field would be 15 because you threw a horns down.
Yeah, I get reminded of every a certain week, and I think my mom for a couple weeks didn't talk to me after that. She was pretty disappointed in me, but it was the funny story. Funny story was the whole offense was supposed to do that. We practiced that play the whole week, and for some reason I was just the only goofball that ended up on TV with that. So now I use it as a lesson. Now it's a lesson. Don't do what I did, because yeah, that's true.
Shawn, you are a competitor. You mentioned this. In last year's offense, there's a reason why there are changes. There's a reason why where you are, Grimes, Stuckey, and also with Eric Mateos. How hard was it? How much of a grind? And a lot of it, people are no longer there, but no spring drills. And a lot of teams didn't have spring drills, but a new coaching transition. How difficult? Can you try to put in words how difficult it was and how frustrating that was the last year?
Yeah, I think I think it's pretty self-explanatory. You're dealing with just so many different things. And I think the biggest thing was just not the ability to not be around, and not be, the relationship piece. And so as a staff, we've made a commitment as we go into 2021, is that's the number one thing is we're going to develop our players as people first and build relationships with them. And we feel like better people make better players. And so the more we can be around them, the better we can, develop them as people, the better player they're going to be. So it's not, Smoak, it's really not about the X's and O's. It's really not. It's about culture. It's about, belief. It's about all those things that, Coach Aranda's preaching to our team every day. And so that's really the emphasis. There wasn't one play last year that we called that caused us to be a bad offense or unsuccessful on offense. And, there's a million different things we could point fingers at this and that, but all we can do is build on what's for 2021. And it starts with, our relationship with our players and developing them as people. And then we believe that's going to make them the best players they can be. And we're going to win football games because of it. And so it's just exciting. It really is. You can feel it. You can feel the excitement. I had meetings with quick academic meeting with all our guys today, and all they wanted to talk about was the, excitement of the direction of the strength staff and the offense and everything. So you can just feel the excitement, the enthusiasm, and those guys are ready to compete. And that's what's the thing. Those, you mentioned those numbers, and some people would say, hey, that's a negative. They've thrown this many passes and don't have that much experience. But to me, that's a positive because they're hungry. And I remember what I was like at that stage in my career is I wanted the opportunity, and I was going to fight and scratch and claw and do whatever it took to be successful and to get that opportunity. And I've got 5 guys in that room that are chomping at the bits for that opportunity. So hunger is a good thing.
One more thing. When Coach Aranda did tell you what he was going to at least try to set up with you and Jeff Grimes, you had his stamp of approval. And then you got Jeff Grimes' stamp of approval. You'd never met him before. I'm sure you knew quite a bit about him. What did that mean to you?
I think it says a lot about, to me, it means a lot because my dream is ambition. And so, to me, this university means so much to me, means so much to my family. This city of Waco, the city of China Spring means so much to me. And so to continue to keep doing what I'm doing at this university means the world. And to coach the position that I've dreamed of coaching at my alma mater means even more. And so for Coach Aranda to allot me that opportunity and even the pressure that comes with it. Listen, I'm not naive to think that I understand the role that I have is our success depends on my room this year. And I get that. And I'm excited about that. And that same hunger that those 5 guys have, I have every single day. And so, it just means a lot. But ultimately at the same time, it's a motivating factor that I want to be the man to help Coach Aranda and his vision at Baylor University be what I know we can be. And so, like the same hunger I talked about with them, I have that same hunger every day and just excited to get to work.
Thank you, Shawn. Appreciate your time. Congratulations on the opportunity. Maybe trade a text or two during a little bit of it, but first time we've had a chance to hear from you, and we appreciate you giving us this kind of time.
Thank you, Smoak. Y'all have a good one, man. I appreciate you having me on.
Shawn Bell, Baylor quarterbacks coach, China Spring High School, Baylor. He threw 914 passes in his career, 38 touchdowns. And he's got a room that's dripping with talent, skill, little moxie.
Mm-hmm.
Gary Bohannon, Jacob Zeno, Blake Chapin, and also the young Kyron Drones, who's now on campus.
Yeah, I think it's just a kind of a no-brainer to finally to bring Shawn on. He's probably most coaches, and look, just based on what we heard from Robert Griffin, most coaches are probably ready long before they get the opportunities they get. Sometimes you need to get the opportunity to show it, and it just takes some time. And Shawn's ready to go. I think he's going to be fantastic for that offense.
Yeah, I mean, he's obviously climbing up the ranks and gaining the respect of his peers. I think. We've heard nothing but really complimentary things about Shawn and his offensive knowledge and just kind of how he does things. I don't think there's any doubt that, this is one of many changes to come in his coaching career because he's just going to keep climbing the ladder. And, will not be surprised in the slightest for him to be an OC sooner rather than later for somebody, Baylor or whoever, and then eventually a head coach at the college level. I would be surprised if that doesn't happen, more so than I would be surprised if it does. So, this is back to quarterbacks, and I barely even remember him being the quarterbacks coach that first year. I think just because everything was so crazy. But, kind of a return to his roots, and he sounds pumped up about it. It sounds like the chemistry is really good in that room right now, and that was something that was obviously missing last year. They've got some momentum, it seems like behind the scenes, and that's good because – outside of Aranda's initial hire and then the announcement of the following hires, there wasn't really much to get excited about after that. It's like, hey, we're excited about new. And then it was just waiting for months and months for actual football to happen. And then when the football got here, it was tough, So I think there's some good renewed enthusiasm in the building and in the fan base, and people are excited to see what's to come because it sure seems very promising.
He was fantastic. It's good, Sean Bell. It's great to hear that excitement, and now they have work to do, and you hope that they're not interrupted and they have a free run towards. And we've been told, we've got our peeps that the strength and conditioning, there's sore bodies. Mm-hmm. It should be.
Yeah.
Muscles that are hurting.
Well, I tell you.
Bones that feel broken.
Hopefully they have spring football, and I don't see why they won't. Even with the pandemic still going on, I would anticipate they're going to have
There's going to have to be at least something.
Yeah, there has to be, especially with new coaches and what happened last year with not having it. So, we assume they'll get in some of those, if not all, their spring, and that will be a huge boost along with, just the boost of kind of changing things up and shaking things up a little bit. But, I think the quarterback competition is something that people have been wanting for a while, and it's, all due respect to Charlie Brewer and what he meant to the program and what he accomplished for the program and all of that. But, at the same time, we saw 4 years, and, by the end, it was just kind of really a hassle to watch that offense. And so I think just the whole clean out and just kind of not starting over, but starting fresh is going to be good.
It will be interesting with Bohannon, Zeno, Chapin, and Drones. Paul's 5 at 5:55.
All right, David Culley heavy today with the on the show. Of course, we've got a lot of information from RG3, Shireen Williams, among others. All right, top 5 things that David Culley has to fix. Number 5, the culture. And look, there's Jack Easterby, and that's part of the culture that he's going to have to deal with. Jack Easterby's probably not going anywhere, it looks like, but he's going to have to deal with that, and he's going to have to create his own culture in the building.
Cole has his mask on, and it's good because if he didn't, we would hear bad things. He is so mad right now. He is, even despite what Shireen and RG3 and he's furious. Am I right, Cole? He's furious.
He's pretty mad. All right, number 4, morale. Look, you see that picture right there? Just a Texans player sitting on the ground, kind of looking
after a loss.
Yeah, after a loss. J.J. Watt, after one of the losses, I believe that was the loss to the Bengals that they had, was just furious. And that's part of culture, and that's also morale in the locker room that enables J.J. Watt to go off like that. He's got to fix that morale in that locker room and make them believe in a goal, which they clearly didn't feel this year at all. Number 3, this is more X and O. The running game is terrible in Houston. And really, look, I know that they've had years where you could probably point to statistically, but honestly, outside of the Arian Foster years, it's never been really good in Houston, and they really need to focus on that, especially with going to have a new quarterback here soon, which kind of nullifies my top one, but we'll get to that in a second. Number 2, the defense. J.J. Watt's still a very effective and good player, but who else on that defense is effective and good? Cole, you got anybody?
The quarterback from the Broncos.
So one guy. So that they've got a couple guys. They're kind of in the same spot the Cowboys are in, where you can list 3-4 guys that you keep and everybody else interchangeable. And number 1, and this now seems to be impossible, but make your quarterback happy. And I don't know if that's possible. I hope that for David Culley's sake, just for taking this job, he gets the opportunity to. But, guys, it doesn't look like that's going to happen.
I'll say the one thing they're very fortunate is this is all happening prior to the draft and not blowing up over the summer, because then they would really be screwed. But, I think it's beyond making Deshaun happy at this point. So make him happy by sending him elsewhere, and make yourselves happy by getting something sweet in return.
Make the next quarterback happy.
Yes.
But make sure that you get a good one and that you don't, after a career year, in spite of the team winning 4 games, piss him off.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not saying that you should cower in fear of your employees and all that, but Deshaun Watson is someone you may want to, keep in the loop on things after you've, mortgaged a lot of your financial future on him.
Think about this. It's a franchise that has struggled at quarterback, right? They had Matt Schaub and
David Carr.
Yeah. And that didn't.
Rob Johnson.
And now they have this young phenom type, and he might be walking out the door. No matter what you get in return, it's got to be very, very difficult. All right, anything else, Paul?
Nope.
That's it. Good stuff on David Culley, and we ended up with David Culley insight from RG3 and Shireen Williams. We appreciate them. I know John McClain's working on all that. So thanks to Davion Mitchell from earlier today, Brian Jones, CBS Sports, that Earl Campbell Tyler Rose Award, that banquet, 7 o'clock tonight. Go to the Craig, what's the actual website? Earl Campbell Tyler Rose Award. I had it up in front of me. I'm sorry. So you can go to the website and watch it live, and you could also watch it. I believe it's on Facebook as well. So that's coming up tonight at 7 o'clock. Thanks to Epe Udo from China, Max Olson, Mickey Spagnola, Robert Griffin III, Shireen Williams, and also Sean Bell.
Yeah, just EarlCampbellAward.com at 7, and it's a live, or not live, but it's the banquet, so to speak. So, that'll be great.
All right, Paul, good stuff. Appreciate that. Oh, my goodness, we have so many people. Armstrong, who runs the producing flagship. He is the one who is the Titanic of the producers. No, that's not good. That means they failed.
He's like Gru from Invincible Me.
Jack McKenzie with the graphics.
Yeah,
Rob,
Gru, thank you.
Solon, thanks for your time. Connor Carruthers had to leave, and Cole Andrews, who's still very grumpy right now with his favorite team, the Texans. Paul Catalina, Craig Smoak. I'm David Smoak. Lovie Smith tomorrow, who might be a part of the Texans by then. Up tempo at 11. Good night on SicEm365 Radio. Stepping into the boots of a U.S. Army officer can add confidence and leadership skills to your son or daughter's career path. See all the things they can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
Born in Waco, Brotherwell Brewing exists to serve the Central Texas community with locally crafted beer of the highest quality. They want to bring Central Texas closer to the brewing experience so everyone can enjoy well-made beer as much as they do. For 2.5 years, they've been bringing high-quality beer to Central Texas at their location on Bridge Street in East Waco. And this football season, you need to stop by on game day for curbside pickup or stop by their tent next to Sic'em365 at Brazos Parking for your pregame refreshment. Brotherwell Brewing believes in community and bringing people together to enjoy products made in their community. So for your game day, whether it's a tailgate or at home, stop by Brotherwell Brewing for high-quality craft beer made right here in Central Texas, 400 East Bridge Street, and check them out online at brotherwell.com.
Ideal MRI is a small family business right here in Central Texas. We're open to support you while lowering the cost of healthcare bills. When you need an MRI, ask your doctor for an Ideal MRI. Visit us at idealmri.com or call us at 833-IDEAL-MRI.
One size fits all. That may be all right for an adjustable belt or cheap sunglasses, but when it comes to your financial needs, no one wants a one-size-fits-all strategy. Cam Heathcott, your Edward Jones financial advisor, knows that his most important goals are yours. That's why he takes the time to understand your needs, knowing you. That's how Edward Jones makes sense of investing. Cam Heathcott, covering Conroe and Houston, 936-756-7717 or cam.heathcott@edwardjones.com. Edward Jones, member SIPC. Texas Farm Bureau Insurance has been proudly serving Texans across the state for over 60 years. Call 254-772-8090 to find an agent who will provide a free review of your auto, home, and life coverage.